Does that surprise you?
We now join our regularly scheduled program already in progress.
Steve Slayton out there and see if you can just score on the opening drive?
Well, yeah, I think it does. I think it's a surprise to everybody. And, you know, UCONN is going to have a fast start in this football game. I think that's going to be critical. A big part of Connecticut's success this year has been they've been good in the first quarter. They have not had to play from behind much. And they haven't put too much pressure on an offense that really does not have the explosiveness of the Mountaineers' offense.
Pat McAfee set to kick off with Tyvon Branch and Larry Taylor deep to receive. The winner is the champion of the Big East, and at the very least is headed to a BCS bowl game. And Branch has it and gets to the outside. A flag down as he stays on his feet at the 40-yard line and is all the way out to about the 43, but there's a penalty marker back at the 15-yard line.
Tackle by 55, Bobby Hathaway.
After this conference, we might find out that the field position for UConn is not going to nearly be what I'm sure Tyvon Branch expected it to be, with a very solid return.
During the return, legal block in the back, number 19 on the return team. The penalty's half the distance to the goal line from the spot of the foul. First down, Connecticut.
So instead of the 43-yard line, it looks like UConn will be starting back inside their own 15. How about inside their own 10? Tyler Lorenzen comes out to begin UConn's first possession at their own 7-yard line. And what a year it's been for Tyler Lorenzen. His first year at UConn after transferring from Palomar Junior College. Only 5 interceptions this season. UConn this year has only 11 team turnovers. That's the second fewest in the country. And they will open with Andre Dixon at tailback. On first down, a couple of yards up the middle at best. Gang tackled by the West Virginia defense. Here's the UConn offense presented by Best Buy with Dan Davis.
Start our offense today. Our quarterback and leader, Tyler Lorenzen. And the guy that we can dread to tackle, our running back, Andre Dixon. And our D-back from Georgia, Terrence Jeffers. With our O-line, with the monster who anchors the offensive line, Donald Thomas.
So we got one monster to introduce the other. Dan Davis practices against those players every day as the big defensive tackle. Second down and 7. And flags down at the line. This play blown dead.
This looks like early movement on the Huskies. Connecticut has made a living.
Prior to the snap, false start. Number 73 offense. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
Connecticut has made a living in this Cinderella season by not committing errors. One of the top 5 teams in the country in terms of taking care of the football. Not a lot of penalties. Obviously some nerves early here in the first quarter for the Huskies.
Lorenzen from the end zone wants to set up the screen. To the far side has the fullback Anthony Sherman, and he gets out to the 10-yard line with a penalty down. Our third penalty flag in the first 4 plays.
Personal foul. Face mask. Number 8 defense. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
And keep an eye on number 8, Quentin Andrews, the safety. Left arm around the back, and the right hand grabbing the face mask. In college football, you can go to the face mask just as long as you don't grab it. It's not a penalty if you get the hand up around the face mask. It's when you start pulling on that face mask that the flags come out.
That's a huge penalty, at least for UConn in terms of field position. 3 receivers as they come out to the 23-yard line. Lorenzen to the sideline, wide open down the sideline and breaking free, Brad Conue. And it's a first down into West Virginia territory for the Huskies.
Brad Conue.
Well, Tyler Lorenzen is going to have to throw the ball down the field more than the Huskies have been comfortable with this year. And he's going to have to get the ball to players like Connu on the outside. Connu just on just a sit-down route along the sideline, similar to a fade route, and a nice ball thrown on time by Lorenzen.
A gain of close to 30 yards. And UConn now in business in plus territory. Dixon finds a lane. Stays in bounds all the way to the 31-yard line as we meet the West Virginia defense presented by Best Buy with defensive end Johnny Dingle.
On the defensive line, we got Daniel Dool, Keelan Dykes, a.k.a. Batman, and I'm Robin. At linebacker, one of the top in the Big East, Mark Mango, but I call him Mango. In my secondary, we have Ryan Mundy, a.k.a. P. Diddy.
Well, West Virginia plays kind of a hybrid defensive lineup, Dave. At a 3-3-5, they have 5 defensive backs on the field at all times. Lorenzen back to the air, steps up, runs into his own man, and still manages to pick up about 3 yards down to the 28. Johnny Dingle made the stop.
And when we talk the 3-3-5 with West Virginia, 3 down linemen. Johnny Dingle's a real key at the defensive end spot. Keelan Dykes inside at the nose tackle. Then you have 3 linebackers and 5 defensive backs. 2 of those 5 defensive backs for Jeff Castile's defense are safeties, and they give this defense great balance. They also give you the ability to be in an 8-man front at all times.
UConn has scored this season on their opening drive 7 times, including last week against Syracuse as the play clock winds down.
Yeah, Tyler Lorenzen lost sight.
Offense, 5-yard penalty, still second down.
Tyler Lorenzen lost sight of the 25-second play clock. And as a quarterback at the college level, every time you break the snap, you want to make sure you know where you stand on that 25-second clock. Big stakes today, and I can understand there's some butterflies working in the stomachs of this offense for UConn.
Well, that's their 3rd penalty already, so it'll be hard to score some points now on second down at 12 outside the 30-yard line. But if they do fight through these penalties and score on the opening drive, it would be the 8th game this year where they have done so, and they're undefeated in the previous 7. Open is Jeffers. Down the sideline, inside the 10-yard line. Knocked out of bounds at about the 6. Antonio Lewis saved a touchdown.
Tyler Lorenzen is a big athlete at quarterback. He looks awkward at times, not always the prettiest guy to see when you're watching a quarterback position, but he has a nice ability to escape the pocket. He's faster than he looks. A real gift with his mobility, and he drops it off to Jeffers.
1st and goal at the 6. Play action. Lorenzen to the end zone in traffic. Caught! Touchdown! Brad Connu! And UConn starts the game with an impressive opening touchdown drive. Chiaravino on to attempt the extra point. We showed you some pictures of some UConn fans cheering. I promise you, we can't hear them. This place is silent in Morgantown. What an opening drive by Tyler Lorenzen. 7 plays, 92 yards, and UConn has the lead. David Norrie, if fans of the Georgia Bulldogs, the Ohio State Buckeyes, and whoever else around the country might be watching this game, waving their UConn pom-poms, well, boy, did UConn give them a reason to celebrate. What an opening drive.
Well, I can imagine some folks up in Columbus, Ohio, getting a little spring in their step after that opening drive by Connecticut, but stay tuned. Patrick White and Steve Slayton are ready to take over.
As Cullen set to kick off. Noel Devine and Vaughn Rivers deep to receive, and this is Rivers from the 5. Rivers gets a lane. Out to the 35-yard line. DJ Hernandez on the stop. The
Timing is going to be important this afternoon for Tyler Lorenzen, getting the ball out quick, gets that left foot set, and Conyu, a sit-down route, had nice depth on the route, breaks the plane. Lorenzen looked tremendously sharp on that first drive.
So now it's Pat White's turn. An amazing season for White. 11 touchdowns through the air, only 3 interceptions. He has run for 12 more touchdowns, responsible for 23 scores overall, and pretty good field position to open. Instead, it goes up the middle for a gain of maybe a yard. Julius Williams stuffed the middle for UConn. Steve Slayton on first down.
This offense for the Mountaineers, well documented. One of the toughest attacks to stop in all of college football. The zone read, really the base of this offense. Patrick White reading the defensive end and either keeping the football or giving to Slayton.
This time White on the keeper, breaks a tackle. White hurdles his way into UConn territory. Darius Butler cut him down at midfield.
In the read, Patrick White is going to look to his left, see the end man on the line of scrimmage. If he chases a running back flat along the line of scrimmage, he keeps. And you get a good taste early of his ability in space.
White actually marked down right at midfield, 1st and 10. And Slayton got the early jump and the pitch. Slayton, oh, what a hit in the backfield as Slayton cut down by Danny Lansana for a loss of a couple of yards.
Coming into this football game, you had to know that West Virginia liked the matchups. The spread offense is based on getting the defense spread across the field and then matching up these great athletes for West Virginia, skill athletes one-on-one on defenders. But Lansana wins that battle in the backfield.
Second down and 12. White steps back, looks downfield for a big play. To the outside! Raynaud inside the 10, hauled down at about the 2. Darius Raynaud picks up 50, and it's 1st and goal, West Virginia.
For those people out there that don't think that West Virginia can throw the football, Patrick White hitting 69% of his balls on the year. Post corner route to Raynaud. And I'll tell you what, Patrick White dropped that on a spot.
So White spreads the field on 1st and goal, and from the spread keeps it. Reaches for the goal line, he's in. Touchdown, Mountaineers. McAfee's extra point knocks the game at 7. What an answer by West Virginia. Pat White now with 13 rushing touchdowns this season. We're tied at 7.
All basketball games are now on sale.
This presentation of college football brought to you by Best Buy. This holiday will help you put together perfect gifts. Saturn, with 5 totally new models, it's just something to rethink about. Saturn. Clean Exchange, a disposable head electric shaver, new from Remington. And Verizon Wireless.
What a start to this afternoon's contests. The Big East title on the line here in Morgantown. As West Virginia goes 5 plays, 65 yards. David Norrie, we've had 2 touchdowns, 2 long touchdown drives. We haven't seen a 3rd down play yet. This has been explosive offense by both of these teams.
Now you talk about quarterbacks managing their offenses. Both Tyler Lorenzen and Pat White on the money, operating on those 2 opening drives.
McAfee's kickoff, a short one, and getting out to about the 28-yard line is Anthony Sherman as we check in with Janine Edwards.
Well, Bob, I had a chance to speak with Connecticut coach Ramsey Edsall right before the game, and I asked him, how did your approach to this game with your players change at all based on the outcome of the LSU-Arkansas game? And he said, well, we all thought that was very interesting. And he said, and if you've been paying attention to college football this year, you've seen anything can happen. But I told our guys we need to focus on this game one day at a time, just like we've done all season long. We can't be something we're not. But guys, that outcome did not go unnoticed by Connecticut.
Well, Janine, I'm sure it didn't go unnoticed by anyone. Lorenzen, Statue of Liberty, holds onto the ball down the middle. Oh, they had a big play to the tight end. Terrence Jeffers got loose behind the safeties, and Lorenzen just missed him.
If Lorenzen hits that ball, Jeffers may score. Nice sell in the backfield. The fake sets up, brings the linebackers up, and the ball was delivered behind. That was not Tyler Lorenzen's best ball. If he leads Jeffers across the football field, Jeffers scores.
Lorenzen may be changing the play at the line. Plenty of time on the play clock. It's at 8 as Dixon goes up the middle for about 3. Reed Williams on the stop. This is the first third down play so far.
Well, for West Virginia, they're always going to try to outnumber you at the line of scrimmage. What they want to do is they want to take away this Husky run game, put the game on the shoulders of Tyler Lorenzen. Tyler Lorenzen, he's going to have to be a bit more pass heavy in the play calling. You got to keep up the scoring pace of this West Virginia offense. Takes you out of your comfort zone.
5 wide receivers on third down. Here comes the blitz. Lorenzen under pressure to the sideline. Incomplete. I don't think that Ellis Golden would have had the first down even if he held on to the football. But it was ruled incomplete. Here comes the punting unit.
Randy Edsall pleading his case on the sideline. If you're Ellis Golden, you have to make sure that you have your depth on that route beyond the chains. Doesn't do any good to complete the pass if you have to line up the next play and punt it away.
So Desi Cullen's punt to be returned by Vaughn Rivers. And it's returnable. Rivers touches it. Oh, he got a great bounce. How lucky was Vaughn Rivers that that ball bounced right back up into his hands. The 30-yard line, the spot for Pat White, who already has a rushing touchdown on the last West Virginia drive. Well, today we've got the Big East game of the year, but tonight it's the Big 12 game of the year. Number 2, Kansas. Number 4, Missouri and Kansas City. Saturday night college football presented by Southwest Airlines. Missouri and Kansas, part of Rivalry Week, presented by Remington. Tonight at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on ABC and ABC HD. College football lives here.
Todd Reesing, Chase Daniel, firing back and forth throughout the night.
How about Steve Slayton? First down, West Virginia. As we take a look, presented by Sonic, at a little bit more about tonight's game between Kansas and Missouri.
Yeah, it's going to be real interesting to see what these teams come up with defensively to slow down a Chase Daniel or a Todd Reesing. Not been the best of years in terms of defense in the Big 12. A lot of points being hung up on the scoreboard throughout the year in that conference. How about that Nebraska-Colorado game yesterday?
I thought it was a basketball score when I saw it on the crawl, but I flipped over and saw you.
Talk about a track meet.
Noel Devine reverses field, cut down behind the line, about 6 yards deep as we take a look at the West Virginia offensive lineup with their left tackle, Ryan Stanchek.
Everybody knows we have one of the most dangerous backfields in the country, led by senior fullback Owen Schmidt. He breaks face mask. On the offensive line today, junior Mike Dent from Jeanette, Pennsylvania will lead the way, and Greg Isdaner from Philadelphia.
The starting lineup's presented by Best Buy and certainly anchored for West Virginia by Pat White. 24-3 as the starting quarterback here in West Virginia, now facing second down at 15. Devine gets caught in the wash as we take a look now, presented by Best Buy, the starting defense. Here's Dan Davis for UConn.
On to the defense. My favorite position is the D-line. With our 2 freaks off the edge, Cody Brown and my roommate Julius Williams. And the linebacking corps, the 2 freshman sensation, Lawrence Wilson and Scott Luttress. and the dog pound, baby, led by Darius Butler and Tyron Branch.
Well, the dog pound might be visited here on 3rd down and 13 for West Virginia. White has time, looks for a big one over the middle, and no one's home. So UConn's defense does their job. 3 downs and out for West Virginia.
Every stop by this UConn defense is a big win for the Huskies. And West Virginia coming into this game, Bob, you couldn't help but think that they would have to lay the ball on the ground if the Connecticut Huskies were going to have a chance to win this game. That's how potent, how dangerous this offense can be. So many weapons, and I think, you know, the biggest oversight is just how athletic the offensive line for West Virginia can be.
Taylor and Howard.
Harry Taylor and Jasper Howard back deep to receive the punt. See so many different punt formations now in college football. This is Howard, a heck of a punt by McAfee from his own 12-yard line. And he doesn't go any further and lost the football. West Virginia's got it.
This might have been Trip Hale, number 29, getting in and creating the fumble. The Huskies have based a season on taking care of the football. You cannot afford to make these kinds of mistakes against the number 3 team in the country. Tyler Lorenzen without an opportunity to take over.
Jasper Howard is a true freshman return man from Miami. And that is a crushing mistake to the end zone. Touchdown, Darius Raynaud. One play, and West Virginia turns the fumble into 6. McAfee's extra point to stretch the lead to 7 after Darius Raynaud's 11th touchdown reception this season.
West Virginia is tough enough to handle on the ground, but when Pat White gets it going, throwing the ball with accuracy down the field, the fake to Slayton sets him up, gets him outside the pocket, and Raynaud with a nice job of stretching, extending to make the catch. Pat White looking awfully tough early in this game.
So Pat White this season now responsible for 25 touchdowns, and again, that's the true freshman Jasper Howard having to be consoled on the bench, as his turnover gives Virginia their 2nd touchdown in the last 3+ minutes.
Well, Bob, when you look at the West Virginia offense, you really have 2 Heisman-type talents in the backfield in Pat White and Steve Slayton. You really have 2 tailbacks playing, and then you add Raynaud, another guy who just happens to be a great tailback lined up in the slot. So many threats to worry about for a defense.
UConn this season didn't turn the ball over. 2nd fewest turnovers in the country. And they turned one over on special teams and had West Virginia, a great offensive team, a free touchdown. How did they respond now? They'll have to start from their own 20. A deep kick from McAfee as we head back to the studio.
Hi there, Matt Weiner here in New York. I'll let you know what's happening around the country throughout the game. In this Taco Bell update, Oklahoma trying to nail down a spot in the Big 12 championship in the Bedlam game today against Oklahoma State. Alan Patrick has caught a touchdown pass. He ran in that one, 14-0 there. Tennessee trying to win the SEC East, leads Kentucky by 10, getting to be late in the 3rd quarter.
Matt, thanks very much. Midway through the 1st quarter of our game, and West Virginia has the lead and the crowd. On 1st down, Donald Brown. maybe 3 yards. Keelan Dykes made the stop.
Boy, when you broke down this game on paper coming in, you really felt like the Huskies had to continue with their turnovers, being safe with the football, but creating turnovers on defense. They really had to count on West Virginia handling the ball poorly. And the Connecticut Huskies make the big mistake on the punt return.
Again, the eye back is Donald Brown. This time Lorenzen wants to put it in the air. Checks underneath to Anthony Sherman for a first down. As we take a look at the X factor in today's game, presented by Citi.
Now, we talked about Connecticut. And they're going to have to put a bigger load on Lorenzen's shoulders. This has been an offense that has run the ball and been very conservative in their passing game. And then West Virginia has to take care of the football. I think if West Virginia takes care of the football, they give anybody in the country a tough time. Connecticut, the first team in this contest to make a big mistake in the turnover department.
Sherman, the ball carrier, and moves the pile for about 3 more yards that time. Stopped by Johnny Dingle.
This Connecticut offense, they've been outgained by every Big East team throughout the conference schedule with the exception of Syracuse.
It's an amazing number.
Hard to believe. Hard to believe. And it also illustrates just how this offense operates. They take care of the football. Lorenzen with only 5 picks on the season. But you have to take some more chances when you're playing against West Virginia, especially on the road.
That's why that last touchdown to give it up on special teams hurts UConn so terribly, because they want to play with their defense. The screen to Brown, snuffed out by the Mountaineers. Morty Ivy made the stop, a loss of a couple. And let's take a closer look at how UConn has won this season.
Well, they've taken care of the football. They've been one of the best in the country at picking up turnovers. They lead the country in interceptions with 21, and you look at the disparity in numbers. Opposing offenses have been able to outgain them, with the exception of Syracuse at the top of that list. But again, Bob, you can't come in to Mountaineer Field and not take care of the football and still expect to come out with a BCS berth. It's not going to happen.
3rd down and 9. A 3-man rush. Lorenzen with some time, fires into traffic, and has a first down to Larry Taylor. A gain of 15 more for UConn.
Kind of curious to me that Larry Taylor isn't returning punts, just with his experience. You know, his punt return early in the season against Rutgers, check that, against Louisville, really turned things around for this football team, and a nice job by Lorenzen, again fitting the ball into a void down the center of the field.
Again, Lorenzen with a play-action fake to the sideline, and a dangerous throw. Scooter Berry and Johnny Dingle were both in pursuit. Lorenzen, he actually started his collegiate career at Iowa State. He wanted to go there to be the quarterback. He gets to Iowa State, and they tell him, no, you know what? You're really a wide receiver. That's where we want to use you. So he said, you know what? I'm out of here. And he goes to Palomar Junior College and puts up amazing numbers as a quarterback. 26 touchdowns, 3 interceptions last year. Comes to UConn and becomes their quarterback, and he's had a great season.
That's been one of the great stories in college football this season, coming from off the radar screen.
7th play of the drive on 2nd down and 10. Lorenzen wants to tuck it under. Got some room. Can he get to the sticks? A yard shot. Morty Ivy brought him down at the 40, maybe the 39. He needs to get to the 38 for a first down.
The Huskies have not been explosive on offense throughout the year. They don't have a lot of down-the-field threats. Conyu is a big speed guy, but not nearly the punch that this West Virginia offense has. This team can't afford to fall behind. And you look back at that Louisville game, that was really the only game where Tyler Lorenzen was called upon to put drives together in the 4th quarter, come back and win the football game.
3rd down and 1. Donald Brown has the first down and more, down to the 30-yard line. And a reminder that near the conclusion of today's game, we'll select a Chevrolet player of the game from each team, and Chevrolet will make a $1,000 contribution to each university's general scholarship fund in that player's name. And with the start that Tyler Lorenzen is off to, he might put his name into the Big East history books if he keeps this up. A great drive to start the game, and another great drive here to answer that last touchdown by West Virginia. Brown for maybe 3 more yards.
Donald Brown, midway through the season, was struggling. Had a couple problems with fumbles, turning the ball over against Louisville, putting the ball on the ground, and he has really created a compliment to Andre Dixon down the stretch. He's gotten his game together. He's been a lot better hitting the holes with authority and running the ball between the tackles.
Again, play action. Lorenzen under pressure and sacked. He goes down back at the 35. Morty Ivy brought him down, and for Ivy, that is his 5th sack this season.
3-man defensive front for the Mountaineers. They bring 3 extra defenders on the blitz. So flexible in their ability to bring linebackers, to bring safeties. They even bring the boundary corner. And it can really create confusion for an offensive line up front.
3rd and 15. A loss of 9 with the sack. Taylor in motion. Lorenzen throws it underneath to Dixon, and he's going to lose maybe a yard on the screen attempt. This might be a spot where UConn's going to have to punt the football. I don't think they can try a field goal from here. That is a bomb of a field goal. And it will be the punting unit that will come out. After a moment ago, a first down at the 30-yard line. They back up 6 yards and have to give the ball back to West Virginia. See if Desi Cohen can get some field position for UConn. And the ball touched at about the 16-yard line, so that's where West Virginia will have it. As we head back to the studio and check in with Matt Weiner.
All right, Bob, this Sports Center Minute is powered by Vizio. Nebraska has the Help Wanted sign out today after firing Bill Callahan. Firing comes a day after a 65-51 loss to Colorado. He was 27-22 in 4 years. And Virginia Tech got a couple of touchdowns from Tyrod Taylor to beat Virginia and claim the Coastal Division title from the ACC. The Hokies will take on Boston College in next week's ACC Championship game in Jacksonville. That's next Saturday, 1 Eastern, right here, ABC.
All right, Matt, thanks very much. Well, Boston College, one of their biggest wins in recent memory on the road at Virginia Tech. And now that becomes the rematch in the ACC title game. This is the Big East title game. The winner of this game wins the Big East championship. And White sends one to the perimeter. Reynaud does not have much room.
Darius Reynaud has been a factor early. The post corner ball from Pat White. Beautiful throw from White on the perimeter, and then White's on the move. Reynaud, tough to handle in the slot, very good route runner, and probably the best athlete on this Mountaineer offense. That's saying a lot.
I was about to say, there's some other candidates.
I was waiting for a response from you on that.
I was stunned.
With Slayton and White in the backfield.
Well, here's White to the outside. And he is upended at about the 21-yard line. So UConn, after that last hit by Robert McClain, has a chance to get the football back. The last time we were in this position, UConn got the job done on defense, but then fumbled a punt down close to the goal line. And that free touchdown that West Virginia scored off the muff punt is the difference as we're inside of a half minute to go in the first quarter. Will drop on 3rd down, fires over the middle, incomplete, up over the head of Reynaud. So again, UConn's defense holds with 14 seconds to go, or 13 to go in the opening quarter, and the Huskies are about to get the football back.
2 stops by the Husky defense in the first quarter. Granted, they had to deal with the Mountaineers on a short field on the second touchdown drive, but 2 stops in a quarter is pretty darn good against the Mountaineers. And if Connecticut can force Pat White to put the ball up in the air, not in the quick passes, not in the bubble screens, but down the field, this is one of the best defensive outfits. The Huskies are breaking on the football with their linebackers and their defensive backs. They play the ball in the air exceptionally well.
Now Larry Taylor is back deep to receive this punt, the second best punt returner in Big East history, and he is chased all the way back to his own 10-yard line. What a punt by McAfee. What a field position change punt by West Virginia. UConn will start at their own 17-yard line after a 70-yard punt and only a 7-yard return by Larry Taylor. Pat McAfee, an amazing play on special teams, and it has been an amazing start. 14-7. West Virginia has the lead on UConn. Pat White with a touchdown running and a touchdown through the air. Bob Wischusen, David Norrie, and Janine Edwards here in Morgantown. 14-7 as we start the second quarter. West Virginia on top, although, David, if not for a special teams mistake made by UConn, it would be 7-7.
Well, and Connecticut has done well in terms of moving the football. They've gotten a couple stops on defense. They can't afford turnovers, and they're going to have to create some opportunities with their defense. West Virginia is going to have to handle the ball sloppy, I believe, in this game at times if Connecticut is going to be able to stay close and make this game a football game in the fourth quarter.
Well, after a 70-yard punt a moment ago, they had West Virginia pinned deep. They start deep in their own end, and Lorenzen goes to the air, into the sideline. Dixon out to about the 23, picks up 5.
Tackled by Antonio Lewis.
Connecticut's offense has spent a whole heck of a lot more time on the field than the West Virginia offense. And on 2nd down and 5, Dixon comes very close to another UConn first down. Ryan Mundy made the stop, and he looks to be maybe a half-yard shot.
West Virginia would not be in position to get into the national title game without the big turnaround on defense. It's been a huge story for the Mountaineers, a defense that was 109th in the country a year ago against the pass. This defense has played at a high level throughout the season.
3rd and 1, they'll try and throw for it, and down goes Lorenzen. A blitz from Ridwan Malik. And out comes the UConn punting unit.
The Huskies are having problems solving the pass rush and the pressure package of the Mountaineers. Mountaineers having some success early, supplementing that 3-man defensive front with linebackers and DBs on the blitz.
Ezzy Cullen with a good punt. Vaughn Rivers from his own 32. Stays on his feet. Gets loose. Rivers to midfield. Great field position for West Virginia. A 49-yard punt, but a 17-yard return. 2 sacks here in the first half by West Virginia on Tyler Lorenzen.
You're watching ESPN on ABC.
Pat White with a touchdown on the ground, a touchdown through the air, and great field position at the 50. UConn's defense has held a couple of times here in the first half, but special teams has changed field position for West Virginia. A 70-yard punt when they were stopped last time, and a 17-yard return, and now they put it once again in the hands of Darius Reynaud for about 4 yards. Let's go down to Janine Edwards.
Well, Bob, when we spoke to defensive coordinator Hank Hughes on the phone the other day, he jokingly said to us, we're going to need 13 guys and a cargo net on the field if we're going to stop the run of West Virginia. He also said that the key for them will be tackling today. We'll have to be very precise, and both Hughes and linebackers coach Todd Orlando have been stressing that on the sideline.
Well, it's a great point, David. You have to be able to tackle well when you play West Virginia. Slayton to the perimeter. Turns the corner. And he's pushed out shy of the first down by a couple of yards. And as we take a look now at our Pacific Life game summary.
Connecticut successful in the first half moving the football. Obviously, the mistake on the punt cost them 7 points. Too many short fields early for Patrick White.
3rd down and 2 and an empty set for West Virginia. Play clock down to 7. White will keep it. And he'll get there. And then some. About an 8-yard gain for Pat White on 3rd down and a couple. How about that reaction from Randy Edsall? Wrap him up, wrap him up. There's what Janine was just talking about.
Well, and Hank Hughes also said that another option would be to bring in a helicopter and drop a net over the offense. Tough, you got to give him credit. It's tough to keep a sense of humor when you're talking about stopping this offense.
How about stopping Owen Schmidt? If you see 6'3", 260 pounds worth of fullback coming your way, and Dana Dilliston did all you could, go down, try and hit him low and upend him as best you can, as Schmidt picks up about 4.
No, he's been a rock. He's been a foundation of this offense, and getting back to Connecticut and how they handle all these athletes, I think it has to be their best tackling day of the year if they expect to win.
White on a straight keeper, runs into a wall at about the 30-yard line. So it'll be 3rd down and a long 5 as we take a look now at our Aflac trivia question. Kansas and Missouri, the 2nd most played rivalry with 116 games. What is the most played rivalry?
Interesting.
I have a guess.
Going to the Ivy League?
That's where I was going to go.
Would you head to the Ivy League?
Would you think Harvard and Yale would be the first guess you'd have, the first logical thought?
I know you weren't headed to the Ivy League literally, you know, for your, for your college career.
No, maybe to deliver something. White on 3rd down and 5. Looks for the big play and has it. But a drop. Oh, Reynaud had a 1st down and he was alone at the 12-yard line. The ball sailed high from Pat White. And Rich Rodriguez's team misses a big opportunity.
Well, if Patrick White misses a big opportunity, watch the leaping ability of Reynaud. And I think Reynaud would tell you that usually he makes that catch, but look at how high he extends. That would have been a super catch. Had to use his hops in the back of the end zone for the Mountaineers' 2nd touchdown.
So now Pat McAfee, 10 of 11 on field goal attempts this season, tries from 46 yards away. And he's got it. So the field position that begins at the 50-yard line results in 3 for West Virginia, and they open their lead up to 10.
This presentation of college football brought to you by Best Buy. This holiday will help you put together perfect gifts. Aflac, ask about it at work. The Nissan Titan, proud presenter of the 2007 Heisman Trophy. To cast your vote, go to theheismanvote.com. And Garmin, give a Garmin GPS this holiday season.
Welcome back to Morgantown for what we have. Basically, the Big East championship game. Neither of these two teams can be caught by anyone else in the Big East, in spite of the fact that West Virginia still has to play Pitt next week. So if UConn wins, it would be their first conference title since they won the Yankee Conference back in 1973. Amazing. If West Virginia wins, not only would they win the Big East and guarantee themselves a BCS bowl berth, but they would move one step closer to possibly playing for the national championship as Tyvon Branch, with a flag down, gets the ball out to the 39-yard line. Boy, were they big Arkansas Razorback fans in this town yesterday.
How about Darren McFadden in that game? Looked like Arkansas facing a 4th and 10 in overtime. Looked like it was over.
During the return, illegal block in the back. Number 8, return team. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. 1st down, Connecticut.
Well, here are the ESPNU All-State Standings Review, and LSU say goodbye to the top spot. They lose to Arkansas, so they will drop. Of course, a titanic game tonight between Kansas and Missouri. The winner of that game will play Oklahoma for the Big 12 championship in a week. And if the winner of that game then beats Oklahoma and West Virginia wins out, to me, David, that's your national championship game.
Well, and don't count Ohio State out yet. Even if West Virginia wins out, Ohio State.
That's classic.
That is good stuff.
Lorenzen on a rollout. Underneath and through it. Low to Anthony Sherman.
But even if West Virginia runs the string, takes care of business tonight against UConn and next week against Pittsburgh, Ohio State still with an outside shot to get into that title game as we look at the total yards.
Well, that's the last sign that Rich Rodriguez wants his players to see, as they are trying as best they can to concentrate on a UConn team that for the most part here in the first half, in spite of the scoreboard, has gone toe for toe with West Virginia. The completion to the outside, a couple of yards shy of a first down, Terrence Jeffers. And here is the answer, our Aflac trivia question. Kansas and Missouri, the second most played rivalry with 116 games. What is the most played rivalry?
I think Lehigh and Lafayette.
You're way off. So was I. Harvard and Yale? No, Minnesota and Wisconsin.
I mean, I went off the board for that answer. Not the first time I've done it. I would have never guessed.
Lehigh and Lafayette.
They've been playing for a long time.
Third down and 2. Lorenzen over the middle, threw it behind Terrence Jeffers. He had him wide open, and it would have been an easy UConn first down.
And Randy Edsall knows how important it is going to be throughout this game to move the chains. Keep his offense on the field. You not only worry about West Virginia and their ability to score points, but you worry about them controlling the clock and wearing your defense down.
You could see Randy Edsall telling Tyler Lorenzen, relax, as he came to the sideline. Relax. How hard is that, though, if you're Tyler Lorenzen, as this punt takes a UConn roll, to do just that in a Big East championship game when last year he was playing in junior college. Can't be easy, certainly for Lorenzen, to keep his emotions in check. On ABC tomorrow, an extraordinary 2-hour event. Extreme Makeover Home Edition helps its 100th family. And some of your favorite past families are lending a hand. An all-new 2-hour Extreme Makeover Home Edition tomorrow at 7, 6 Central on ABC. It's been bumpy of late for Tyler Lorenzen. Pretty good field position for Pat White at his own 36-yard line. Traps it up the middle. Slayton corralled after about a 7-yard gain by Lawrence Wilson.
After Connecticut's first touchdown, the Huskies have punted the ball away 4 consecutive times. And in a game of this magnitude, you can't afford to continue to give the ball back to Patrick White. This is a period within the game where you have to take advantage. The Huskies have gotten a couple stops against this potent offense, but you have to take those opportunities.
At the bottom of your screen, keep your eyes on the true freshman, Noel Devine, who now goes in motion and takes the handoff. Breaks a tackle. Out of bounds, maybe a yard shy of a first down.
Noel Devine has done a nice job being patient, learning the tailback position, playing behind a Steve Slayton. How about his yards per carry average? 9.3 yards per carry for the freshman. Lights out speed. Just scary how many weapons Patrick White has to go to on this offense.
Well, this time White under center on 3rd down and a yard. It's for Slayton, and he's brought down behind the line. Well, this UConn defense, in spite of 17 points on the board being David, they have had a good first half. That was Cody Brown.
Yeah, Cody Brown has been the biggest playmaker along the defensive front for Connecticut, along with Julius Williams. defensive end on the opposite side. But Cody Brown does so many things. A great pass rusher, able to rush the passer with speed. He's also got the athletic ability to drop back in zone pressure schemes.
The crowd wanted UConn to go for it. For a second, their offense stayed on the field. Then there's some boos as the punting unit came out. You have to punt the ball here at your own 45-yard line as McAfee sends one to the sideline. Taylor breaks a tackle and does a pretty good job to get out to about the 17. 8 minutes to go in the first half. West Virginia with a 10-point lead. Tyler Lorenzen gets another chance when we come back.
You're watching ESPN on ABC.
IBM presents the 25 greatest players ever. Number 7, Tony Dorsett. Before his arrival, Pittsburgh hadn't had a winning season in 9 years. Dorsett rushed for 1,000 yards in 4 straight seasons, and by his senior year, Pittsburgh was the national champion. IBM, getting it done.
IBM's 25 greatest players in college football. Not too bad. Number 7, Tony Dorsett. A player that right now, UConn would love to have in uniform as they start from their own 17-yard line. Instead, it's Donald Brown, and he's close to a first down out to about the 26-yard line. Let's take a look at the latest that have been revealed in our top 25. Roger Staubach at number 9, Bo Jackson at number 8, Tony Dorsett at number 7. Now I really want to see numbers 1 through 6.
Well, you look at the running backs on this chart. Earl Campbell, Bo Jackson. Not a lot of fun if you're a defensive back coming up and run support against those two.
Brown finds a crease. It's a first down for UConn out to about the 37-yard line. And let's head down to Janine.
Well, Bob, Coach Rich Rodriguez, West Virginia, has said that he wants more fan involvement. He went on the record to say that he wants them to be like the 12th man on the field. He told us that his wife, Rita, went shopping earlier this week looking for gold apparel for her friends and family to wear, and the stores were sold out, which was a great thing. But I can say that the fans have not been very enthusiastic here this afternoon, a little bit lacking in atmosphere.
It has been quiet, Janine. It's a good point. And Brown quiets them further. Another first down for UConn.
With the exception of the quick strike drives by West Virginia to open the game, Connecticut has been able to move the ball fairly consistently. And the ground game is going to be an important component. And Tyler Lorenzen, you can't afford to have him throwing the ball in 2nd and long, 3rd and long situations. Donald Brown and Andre Dixon doing some nice work between the tackles.
Play action. Lorenzen to the sideline. That's another first down. Steve Brous, the tight end, picks up about 12.
And Tyler Lorenzen back on rhythm. Yeah, he's had a couple ugly throws. Off to an 11 for 16 start. The numbers have been good, but some ugly throws on the last couple drives. Several misfires, but a nice job of dropping the ball out over the linebacker level. Brous, a pretty talented tight end.
Lorenzen starting to heat back up after a great first drive. Last year's quarterback, DJ Hernandez, is the wide receiver at the top of your screen. Instead, they trap it to Brown. He picks up 6. Morty Ivy on the stop.
And this offensive front for Connecticut, very impressive, considering that they're having to deal with an 8-man defensive front. Jeff Castile, the defensive coordinator for the Mountaineers, has dialed up quite a bit of pressure in passing situations here in the first half. This offensive front for the Huskies getting acclimated.
Now it's Andre Dixon. And he's brought down about 3 yards shy of a first down by Johnny Holmes. So here's a huge play for UConn. 3rd down and a short 3 at the West Virginia 35.
Bob, I think when you consider the field position, Churavino, the field goal kicker, I think this is 4-down territory here for UConn. And in your play calling, you got to consider that as you make this play call on 3rd down. I think you can afford to run the football here.
Well, now the crowd's in it, on their feet in Morgantown, 3rd down, and a short 3. Lorenzen lost the football. West Virginia has it. Morty Ivy with a strip sack in the backfield. The Mountaineers came into today 9th in the nation. This season, they were a plus 11 before today in the turnover ratio. That's the second turnover they've created here in the first half.
Randy Edsall talking to Tyler Lorenzen about the clock, and this is a pass rush that comes inside. Not a very good play by Donald Brown in pass protection. Morty Ivy splitting blockers. Ivy has been sensational early in this football game, coming on blitzes.
So off the turnover, great field position again for Pat White. The screen, Slayton, not much there. Got back to the line of scrimmage. Danny Lansana was the first there to make the stop.
Here we go, at the line. And stop number.
Second down and 10. White keeps, and again gets shut down at the line. What a job by the front seven for UConn. Again, coming up with the Capital One halftime report, John Saunders, Craig James, and Doug Flutie. All the highlights, including the battle for ECC Coastal Championship between Virginia Tech and Virginia. The winner plays BC next for a BCS berth. The guys will break down the BCS and how it relates to tonight's monster showdown in the Big 12 between number 4 Missouri and number 2 Kansas. All that coming up on the Capital One halftime report. Third down and 10. A 4-man rush. White escapes. Weaves his way for a first down and more. Patrick White down the sideline. He got loose and made a huge play for West Virginia.
West Virginia's offense, even when you play them correctly, even when you line up and fill out your assignments in terms of gap controls, you have an unblocked man, Patrick White can still make you look subpar. I mean, what shiftiness and ability in the open field. Just a dangerous runner at all times, whether the play is called to him or whether he's improvising.
He picked up a block from Slayton, and now hands to Slayton to the end zone. Touchdown, West Virginia. The point after stretches the lead to 24-7 for the Mountaineers.
Figner, the left guard, getting the super tackle, caving down, and Slayton, too much space.
Well, those franchise players for West Virginia are having a franchise first half. Steve Slayton with a touchdown. He's now over 1,000 yards rushing this season for the third consecutive time. Pat White's over 1,000 yards. He's thrown for a touchdown. He's run for one as well. Arguably the best 1-2 punch in college football. I'm not sure, David, is there someone else that can compare to White and Slayton?
Maybe Dennis Dixon and Jonathan Stewart out at Oregon before Dixon got injured.
Larry Taylor trapped on the sideline. Back to Matt Weiner in the studio.
All right, Bob, a Verizon Wireless update from Norman, Oklahoma State and Oklahoma, and this is why they call the game Bedlam. 4th and goal for the Cowboys. Zach Robinson, bootleg, tried to get his way in, lost the football. DJ Wolf scooped it up. The Sooners holding on to a 21-7 lead. Eric Ainge has 4 touchdown passes. Tennessee trying to lock down the SEC East, leading at Kentucky by 10.
All right, Matt, thanks very much. And it looks like it will be Tennessee playing in the SEC championship game. The Big East championship game here in Morgantown, controlled right now by West Virginia. as Donald Brown picks up a few.
Well, this offensive line, they have to be big. They have to be active in the way they move. They're all capable of getting out and pulling. Look at them work as a dance unit. And then Slayton, so good working in tight spaces. Connecticut not doing a good job of getting off blocks, and Slayton exploits the seam.
Second down and 8. Brown on a delay, turns the corner, down the sideline. Donald Brown out of bounds at about the 31-yard line of West Virginia. Eric Wicks came back to save a touchdown, a 44-yard game.
The Huskies' success on the ground has been a surprise. Donald Brown checking between the tackles. That's a nice job of bouncing it outside, running to daylight. It shows us a little speed down the sideline.
Donald Brown 3 yards shy of 100 yards here in the first half. Right back to him. A gain of 2. Scooter Berry made the stop for the Mountaineers.
This is a very important drive for the Huskies. The Huskies have wasted a lot of opportunities in the first half. You're down 17 points. You make a trip into the Mountaineers side of the field on this drive. I think they need to cash in. And it better be 7 points.
Lorenzen down the sideline, no one home. Terrence Jeffers stopped, and Lorenzen threw a go route.
Jeffers ran a little hitch route to the left side, and it looked like Tyler Lorenzen was expecting a post corner route.
Here's the crowd noise Rich Rodriguez wants on 3rd down and 9. The last couple of times that UConn has been down here, they took a sack and had to punt, and the last possession fumbled the football as Lorenzen was stripped by Morty Ivy. Now 3rd down and 9. Lorenzen underneath, has the tight end Steve Browse. This time they convert a first down into the red zone.
Well, the Mountaineers were bringing pressure. They rushed 6. And Tyler Lorenzen, a nice job of recognition. Again, the ball coming out quickly. That was an important play for the Huskies to stay in touch in this football game. Move the chains.
Brown on first down. It's to about the 15-yard line before he's driven back. And David, this is an area where UConn has struggled to score touchdowns rather than field goals in the red zone this year. Well, now down 24-7, they need to basically flip this stat around and score 7.
Well, Connecticut has played with the lead for the better portion of the year. And Louisville was really the only win where they had to come from behind. In the red zone, you got to be a lot more efficient in terms of cashing in touchdowns, especially when you're playing West Virginia.
Donald Brown already over 100 yards. Down the sideline on 2nd and 6. It depends on the spot. He's very close to a first down.
I've been
maybe a half-yard shot.
Yeah, I've been very impressed with the production of the offensive line, their ability to get some movement up front against this 8-man front. And Donald Brown. Andre Dixon has been the featured performer at the tailback position, but Brown really running with a hunger and ability to exploit seams in space.
3rd and 1, Lorenzen sneaks for it, and he's got it. 1st and goal, UConn inside the 10. Lorenzen able to move the pile just inside the 9-yard line.
Well, Rich Rodriguez, disappointment on his face, very evident. I think there are times when Rich Rodriguez can really sense a knockout punch. His team is operating on offense. They get a lead.
Talk about breathing some life back in the game, though, if you're UConn, to convert on this possession. Why did they need to measure? Didn't they hear what I said? It was a first down run. Clear as day.
We don't need you, Bob. We got the yellow line. We got the first down line.
Made Randy Edsall sweat. Monday Night Football on ESPN continues this week. The Dolphins take on Ben Roethlisberger, and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Joey Porter is back at Heinz Field. Monday Night Football on ESPN at 8:30 Eastern. Coverage begins at 7 Eastern with Monday Night Countdown.
Connecticut needs to be safe with the football in this section of the field.
Plenty of time on the play clock for Lorenzen. Brown up the middle on 1st and goal. Gets to about the 5. Reed Williams, the leading tackler for West Virginia, made the stop.
I think this defensive front has been surprised. Keelan Dykes, Scooter Berry, Johnny Dingle at the defensive end position. I think they've been surprised by just how physical this offensive front for UConn has been in the first half.
UConn, of course, with all their timeouts, so 30 seconds to go in the opening half. Plenty of time. 2nd down and goal. Lorenzen to the end zone. Bobbled and knocked away. A flag down as well. Steve Brous had it right in his chest and couldn't hold on. We'll have to check the penalty with 25 seconds to go in the first half.
Offsides. Number 44 defense in the neutral zone at the stat. Penalty is half the distance to the goal line. Still 2nd down.
They called it on Morty Ivy, it looks like, but a couple of Mountaineers seem to be jumping.
Morty Ivy at the top of the screen looked like he stepped into the neutral zone. Ivy's been extremely active coming on the blitz and passing situations, and this 3-3-5 defense for West Virginia gives you an opportunity to get more pass defenders into coverage. The windows have been tight for Tyler Lorenzen, trying to fit balls in down the field.
Do those numbers illustrate the importance of turnovers? 274 yards and 7 more minutes of time of possession for UConn in the first half, but a muffed punt down in the red zone creates a free touchdown for West Virginia. And the last drive down here, UConn got to the 30-yard line and got a strip sack by Morty Ivy as Lorenzen lost the football.
You give Patrick White and his offense short distances to travel, and they're going to exploit you. They are going to take advantage.
Off the UConn timeout, 2nd and goal still just inside the 3. Brown behind some blockers at the goal line, still on his feet, into the end zone for a Husky touchdown.
Now watch the effort by Donald Brown. He tries the defensive line for the Mountaineers and works off tackle, keeping that lower body moving. He's shown great intensity here in the first half and has really, in a lot of ways, kept his team in the ballgame.
Salavino's extra point is good. Mental toughness by UConn as we head back to the studio and Matt Weiner.
All right, Bob Sports Center in game on Georgia and Georgia Tech. The Ramblin' Wreck have lost 6 straight in this series, but Taylor Bennett rolling out, evaded a couple of defenders and found Colin Peak for the go-ahead touchdown. Tech on top there, 14-10. Andre Woodson has tossed his 4th touchdown pass of the game for Kentucky to close the gap there to 31-28, and the Wildcats have the football again late.
Well, Matt, back here in Morgantown, what a great weekend for college football. These rivalry games, Georgia and Georgia Tech, Tennessee taking on Kentucky, and who knows if this might be a rivalry that builds over the years as UConn and West Virginia play for the Big East Championship today.
Well, so many upsets, and we've heard so much about how crazy this college football season has been, but it has created some matchups at the end of the season, like the Kansas-Missouri game tonight, like West Virginia and UConn today. And matchups that on paper before the season started, you wouldn't think that they would have national title implications.
Vaughn Rivers from the 7. Gets outside. And is upended at the 41-yard line by the kicker, Desi Cullen. So with 12 seconds to go before halftime, And the clock stopping with a first down. West Virginia, they have all their timeouts. After a return like that, is this a time to take a shot?
Well, I think you do take a shot down the field. You try one over the top, but West Virginia has won the battle of the special teams in the first half. They've really created some field position for their team, and the big three have all been involved. Patrick White, Steve Slayton, Renaud has gotten involved. Rich Rodriguez has to be very happy about the first 30 minutes of football.
One quick strike for West Virginia, and a possible field goal attempt could come, and there's the quick strike. It picks up a first down. 5 seconds to go in the first half.
And I think you use a timeout here. You got 3 timeouts. You might as well use a timeout.
West Lions picked up 16 yards. Not in field goal range yet. They're still shy of the 40-yard line. At the very least, it sets up a realistic Big Ben opportunity, though, doesn't it?
Well, McAfee has a pretty big leg. I'm pretty sure from time to time in practice, he takes cracks from 55, 60 yards.
This would probably be about 60 or 61 yards if they try to field goal from here. Let's take a look at West Virginia. They have put the game in the hands of their 3 big play guys.
It is the big 3, and Renaud, a couple big catches on the first drive. Patrick White making great decisions in the spread option. Slayton has had a nice game himself, ripping off a long touchdown run.
And Pat McAfee, the kicker, he was about 3 or 4 yards out onto the field. He was ready to go out and try a 60-yarder.
He's got quite a personality on him. I'm sure he was lobbying with Rich Rodriguez. This looked like this is going to be an over-the-top Hail Mary type play.
White tries to quick out, maybe to get McAfee closer. 2 seconds. And this might bring the field goal unit out now. They picked up about 4 yards. Darrell Jalla picked up yardage inside the 40-yard line, and yeah, here comes McAfee.
Connecticut playing real soft on the sidelines. You can't afford to give up a quick out. I can't believe the Huskies weren't pressing their coverage on the outside. They literally handed 5 yards to West Virginia. Too easy.
McAfee leads the Big East in field goal percentage. A 56-yard attempt before halftime. It's on the way. Will it reach? Just falls short. And that brings us to halftime. When it was on the way, I think he thought he had it, David.
Yeah, it was just a bit short and maybe a touch wide to the left. McAfee, one of the real talented 2 disciplined kickers in college football.
Here's Janine Edwards.
Coach, in light of the recent developments on the national scene in the last 24 hours that affect you guys, how would you grade your team's
that
focus?
Nothing to do. Whatever happened, that has nothing to do with this game right now. We're in a battle with UCONN. We know we're going to be in it. We got to get better defensively, and offensively, we're not in rhythm.
How do you motivate your guys, given you've had some recent fourth-quarter lapses? How do you tell them to not get complacent?
Well, just got to focus on every play and just play every play. That's how you win championships. You got to try to win every play.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, Janine, thanks very much. So our halftime score, West Virginia in a tussle with UConn, 24-14. Now back to John, Craig, and Doug in our New York studios. Guys?
You're watching ESPN's Rivalry Week, presented by Remington.
Our game this afternoon in Morgantown is presented by Best Buy. And we are set for the start of the 3rd quarter in what amounts to the Big East Championship game. West Virginia with a 10-point lead over UConn. And David, with the way UConn played and some of the mistakes that they made in the first half, this could be a very different game than what we have right now.
Well, they outgained West Virginia. They had 5 more first downs. The difference were the big plays. The big 3 for West Virginia all ripped off big gains. And, of course, Jasper Howard's fumble on the punt return was very costly.
West Virginia won the toss at the start of the game. They deferred until the second half, so the Mountaineers will start with the football here in the 3rd quarter.
The Huskies are going to have to tighten up their special teams game. A decided advantage to the Mountaineers in the first half in all facets.
This game could still come down to Tyler Lorenzen's ability to rebound in the second half as well. He had a very inconsistent first half. Zeke Bellin's kickoff. Coming down at about the 9-yard line to Rivers, and they fake a reverse, and Rivers gets out to about the 34-yard line. Let's take a look now at the Pacific Life game summary.
You look at the numbers, Connecticut, you wouldn't think they'd be trailing by 10 points at half. Donald Brown was resurgent at the tailback position, but the big plays, Patrick White, Renaud, Slayton, and Patrick White, very effective throwing the ball in the first half, 8 for 11, hitting 69% of his balls on the year.
As is the norm with West Virginia, White and Slayton both with touchdowns rushing in the first half. And White starts the second half with a 6-yard carry as we check in with Janine.
Well, Bob, I spoke to Connecticut coach Randy Edsall, and they had told us before the game that they knew they would need precise tackling this afternoon. Well, he told me West Virginia's got such great athletes that we are missing tackles. He goes, I don't know how we can get around that. He said, I had to ask my guys, you need to play hard for another 30 minutes and don't give up any big plays.
Well, they did a decent job of limiting those big plays on the ground in the first half as White tries to create one here, and does. White gets loose, and he's brought down at about the 32-yard line. Tyvon Branch grabbed him around the shoulder pads, a gain of 28.
And when Patrick White gets a one-on-one situation in the open field, watch what he can do right here. The cut just sets up his run so well. One step away from taking it the distance.
9 carries now for 92 yards for Pat White. What a year it's been. 24-3 as the starting quarterback for the Mountaineers. This time it's Slayton. And he's strung out nicely by the UConn defensive front. A loss of a couple. Scott Lutris, who missed a tackle on the last play, joins Cody Brown on that stop.
Lutris did a pretty nice job of recovering on that long run from Patrick White, but you watch West Virginia, they work in this no-huddle tempo, and you almost forget about it. They're so seamless under Rich Rodriguez. All the play calls and the checks come down from the press box, and Patrick White does such a nice job at the line of scrimmage, managing all the traffic.
See White look over to the sideline with the play clock at about 14, get the play called. Make a man miss in the open field, throws one towards the end zone. Pass interference. Tito Gonzalez called for a flag that was already thrown, and he didn't even see it. It came out so quick. Darius Butler was there in coverage just about.
Watching ESPN's Rivalry Week, presented by Remington.
Our game this afternoon in Morgantown is presented by Best Buy. And we are set for the start of the third quarter in what amounts to the Big East Championship game. West Virginia with a 10-point lead over UConn. And David, with the way UConn played and some of the mistakes that they made in the first half, this could be a very different game than what we have right now.
Well, they outgained West Virginia. They had 5 more first downs. The difference were the big plays. The big 3 for West Virginia all ripped off big gains. And, of course, Jasper Howard's fumble on the punt return was very costly.
West Virginia won the toss at the start of the game. They deferred until the second half, so the Mountaineers will start with the football here in the third quarter.
The Huskies are going to have to tighten up their special teams game. A decided advantage to the Mountaineers in the first half in all facets.
This game could still come down to Tyler Lorenzen's ability to rebound in the second half as well. He had a very inconsistent first half. Izzy Fellin's kickoff. Coming down at about the 9-yard line to Rivers, and they fake a reverse, and Rivers gets out to about the 34-yard line. Let's take a look now at the Pacific Life game summary.
You look at the numbers, Connecticut wouldn't think they'd be trailing by 10 points at half. Donald Brown was resurgent at the tailback position, but the big plays, Patrick White, Renaud, Slayton, and Patrick White, very effective throwing the ball in the first half, 8 for 11, hitting 69% of his balls on the year.
As is the norm with West Virginia, White and Slayton both with touchdowns rushing in the first half, and White starts the second half with a 6-yard carry as we check in with Janine.
Well, Bob, I spoke to Connecticut coach Randy Edsall, and they had told us before the game that they knew they would need precise tackling this afternoon. Well, he told me West Virginia's got such great athletes that we are missing tackles. He goes, I don't know how we can get around that. He said, I had to ask my guys, you need to play hard for another 30 minutes and don't give up any big plays.
Well, they did a decent job of limiting those big plays on the ground in the first half as White tries to create one here, and does. White gets loose, and he's brought down at about the 32-yard line. Tyvon Branch grabbed him around the shoulder pads, a gain of 28.
And when Patrick White gets a one-on-one situation in the open field, watch what he can do right here. The cut just sets up his run so well. One step away from taking it the distance.
9 carries now for 92 yards for Pat White. What a year it's been. 24-3 as the starting quarterback for the Mountaineers. This time it's Slayton. And he's strung out nicely by the UConn defensive front. A loss of a couple. Scott Lutris, who missed a tackle on the last play, joins Cody Brown on that stop.
Lutris did a pretty nice job of recovering on that long run from Patrick White, but you watch West Virginia, they work in this no-huddle tempo, and you almost forget about it. They're so seamless under Rich Rodriguez. All the play calls and the checks come down from the press box, and Patrick White does such a nice job at the line of scrimmage, managing all the traffic.
See White look over to the sideline with the play clock at about 14, get the play call. Make a man miss in the open field, throws one towards the end zone. Pass interference. Tito Gonzalez called for a flag that was already thrown, and he didn't even see it. It came out so quick. Darius Butler was there in coverage, just about tackled Gonzalez with the ball on the way.
Pass interference. Number 15 defense. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
And that's what happens when you're late getting your eyes back to the football. But Patrick White made this play happen in the backfield. Lansana had him dead to rights, and Patrick White, just a little move, sidesteps Lansana, and then the scramble ensues down the field. Once Patrick White breaks the pocket, he's got the skill players on the outside that can create openings down the field.
To me, one of the best rules in college football, that being a 15-yard penalty, and not putting the ball on the 1-yard line the way they do in the NFL. White steps back, dodging tacklers, and goes down. Lost about 3 yards. Here's a closer look at Pat White.
Patrick White, so good. I mean, he's got an awkward running style. He's very tall and lanky. Really tough to draw a bead on him, even with 2 tacklers when he's hemmed in. He's got surprising strength below the waist by and then a very underrated passer, as you can see by his numbers and his performance tonight.
Second down and 13. White wanted to set up the screen. And again, UConn snuffs it out, and that should go as a sack. Lutris got there first, a couple of yards shy of where the line of scrimmage was. Mike Cox in on the tackle as well. Now it's 3rd down and 15.
Well, the Huskies have had such a great year in the back end. The linebackers and the secondary. Danny Scott and Lutris, a couple of the best linebackers you'll see in college football against the pass. Do a tremendous job of breaking on the football.
And this UConn defense, 3rd best in the country in points against, only allowing 14.3 points per game. White, they tuck it under. Creates space in the open field. Touchdown! What a cutback at the 15 by White. From 3rd and 15 to the end zone, the second rushing touchdown for Patrick White. (31-14) Mountaineers.
Well, you do everything right on defense. You have Pat White hemmed in. He escaped such a great feel. The cutback sets up the touchdown. He walks in.
DLP HD TV is an official sponsor of ESPN College Football on ABC HD.
Well, the Razorbacks did the job yesterday against LSU, and now West Virginia, a win over UConn today, should they hold on, and a win in their season finale next week against Pitt. And these Mountaineers, that probably didn't think, David Norrie, this could possibly happen when they lost at South Florida back in September. They are on the verge of playing for the national championship.
Has to be nice when you know you can control your own destiny.
Avon Branch a yard deep. Shut down at about the 17-yard line. Back to the studio. And Matt Weiner.
All right, Bob, Hawaii took the WAC title last night, and Colt Brennan is our nominee for the AT&T ESPN All-America Player of the Week. 495 yards passing, 5 touchdowns, and set a new Bowl subdivision career record with his 126th. To cast your vote, text the word VOTE to 87654 and your AT&T wireless telephone.
Pat White has made a career out of making big plays, and already 3 more carries today of 20 or more yards. Brown tries to turn the corner for UConn. Gets down the sideline, very close to a first down, as we take a look back at the touchdown.
As a defensive front, you always have to be disciplined against Pat White. Let's freeze it right there. You get out of your lanes and you create voids for Patrick White. He not only senses them, but he's good enough with his legs to exploit them. And the cutback was superb.
That's an amazing run.
I don't think we see that from any other quarterback in the country. That was Vince Young type material.
Lorenzen down the sideline, incomplete, looking for Cornu, and he took a heavy hit on the far side from Eric Wicks. And let's check in with Janine.
Well, Bob, and as we are seeing how effective Pat White is, you know, no West Virginia quarterback has been more effective running the ball than him. He is the school's career rushing leader, over 3,100 yards, and he's also quite formidable passing the ball. But when I asked him the other day, what's your favorite play? He very matter-of-factly said, Steve Slayton left, Steve Slayton right.
That's not a bad way to go. This time it's Donald Brown right on 3rd down and a yard. Boy, he is very close to a first down. Johnny Dingle knocked him down. It looks like the nose of the football is going to be on our yellow line. It looks, David, like they might be a couple of inches short. Do you go for it down 31-14 this deep in your own end?
These are the kinds of situations where the West Virginia's offense puts so much pressure on you. You start having to consider doing things that you would never consider against another opponent. And they're just short, I believe, here by about a ½ inch.
Well, they can't decide. It is a first
down. I thought I saw a little air there between the end of the football and the stake.
Well, that would have been a fascinating decision for Randy Edsall.
Well, you sure don't want to punt the ball back to Patrick White the way he's playing and with the speed around him. I truly believe that Randy Edsall was given it a very serious thought in terms of going for it on 4th down.
Brown barely gets back to the line of scrimmage. Scooter Berry, who had never played defensive line before. He was a linebacker running back when he was in high school. He's a redshirt freshman that they basically taught to play defensive end, and he made that tackle.
What a turnaround this defense has had. The struggles that the Mountaineers went through a year ago. Now a top 5 defense in the country. That front three is very quick, very athletic.
Second down and 10, and it looks as if Lorenzen might be changing the play. He'll try to play Pat White and tuck it under. Gets to the sideline. That's a pretty good imitation. First down, UConn, as Lorenzen scrambles for 14 yards.
Tyler Lorenzen is so deceptive with his height, his size. Johnny Dingle gets a little taste of Tyler Lorenzen's mobility. He's made plays like that all year long to get his offense out of trouble.
Well, those sack yards go against your rushing count in college football, and Lorenzen is still the 3rd leading rusher for UConn behind Dixon and Brown. The trap to Brown, finds some room, picks up 7 yards.
Such distinct differences in styles between these two offenses. West Virginia capable of striking at any time with a Patrick White or a Steve Slayton. And Connecticut has to drive the ball. They have to put together methodical drives, moving the chains, and it's tougher to be error-free as you move the ball down the field without the threat of going over the top with a big play from the tailback.
Gets to the ground, nothing doing. Brown shut down after a gain of a half yard by Morty Ivy. Another big 3rd down coming, and again, to remind you what we're playing for, in case you were living in the dark in the world of college football yesterday, LSU loses to Arkansas. Kansas and Missouri play tonight. West Virginia playing now. Those are the teams that control their destiny in terms of the national championship game.
You think about Ohio State's prospects. If Oklahoma can beat either a Kansas or a Missouri, the Buckeyes would be right back in that national title game picture.
Timeout called by West Virginia, or check that by UConn. A 3rd down and 3 when we come back.
This presentation of college football brought to you by DLP HD TV. DLP is the official ESPN on ABC HD telecast sponsor of college football. Coca-Cola, the new all Jeep Liberty, and the Home Depot. You can do it.
Not long ago, a beautiful sunset in Morgantown. And the sun setting on UConn's hopes might come down to this play.
Well, I think that, again, this is going to be 4-down territory. And again, UConn can afford to run the football here.
Lorenzen instead will throw under pressure. Nothing there. Sets up 4th down and 3, shy of midfield. Scooter Berry and Morty Ivy pressured Lorenzen.
See, that's why I like a run there on 4th and 3, because you're going to pick up positive yards most likely, especially the way that Donald Brown has been pounding it up in between the tackles, and then Randy Edsall has a much more manageable 4th down if he comes up short. The incomplete pass, you're really rolling the dice if you don't punt it away.
Here's Desi Cullen's punt, a low wobbly kick, returnable for Rivers. He's out about the 25-yard line, still on his feet, finally swamped under. Who will West Virginia potentially play for the national championship? Should we win? Well, Jeanine Edwards was in the parking lots earlier.
So we're doing a poll. What are the 2 teams that are going to play in the national championship?
West Virginia and Ohio State. West Virginia, Missouri.
West Virginia, Ohio State.
West Virginia.
And who?
Kansas.
Kansas. So you'll be watching that Kansas-Missouri game later.
Yeah, we'll be watching tonight. Yeah.
I heard a couple of Ohio State votes, though, Dave.
A lot of people are going to be watching that Kansas-Missouri game tonight. Ohio State has a great shot to crack, that top 2 in the BCS ratings, because the winner of the Kansas-Missouri game has to get by Oklahoma.
Wide receiver hitch to Reynaud, and he's out to about the 34-yard line.
And when you think about that Big 12 title game, I think the Sooners are a cinch to be a favorite going into that game. So Ohio State, some bright prospects. LSU, they're done. The loser of the Kansas-Missouri game tonight, their hopes are finished.
How amazing would that be for Ohio State? As Reynaud came off holding his hamstring after that play. That doesn't look good. Maybe a cramp. We'll see if he can make it back into the game on 2nd down and 1 now. The best wide receiver off the field for West Virginia. And White, that time with some power. I think he picked up the 1st down. Reynaud with a big day so far. A touchdown to go along with 76 yards. He had a touchdown catch and a 50-yard gain early that set up West Virginia's first touchdown. A run by Pat White.
His abilities really played heavily into those first 2 touchdown drives, and West Virginia doing a very nice job of keeping the football secure throughout that game. This game was, it was really a must for them to handle the football cleanly.
Gaping hole for Noel Devine, the true freshman inside the 30 of UConn. Noel Devine developed an internet following because highlights like this would end up on YouTube and they'd be downloaded by thousands.
There's been a lot of discussion. Who's the fastest player with straight line speed on this offense? Is it Slayton? Is it White? Is it Reynaud? I think it might be Noel Devine. If you were to line them up in a 60-yard race, Devine awfully fast from his tailback spot.
Back to Slayton as the I-back. He gets the call. He gets to about the 25-yard line. Dana Delliston came up and made the stop.
There's so much concern over the last couple of games. The games against Louisville and Cincinnati. Patrick White with a couple fumbles in the 4th quarter in both of those contests. Questions about how the Mountaineers would handle the football coming in. And this is a high-risk offense, the way they handle the ball, Bob, with all the motions and pitches and how Patrick White is counted on to hand the football off. They've been great thus far.
There's Devine again, into the open, touchdown! For the point after once again. 38-14, the 3rd-ranked Mountaineers.
Hard to prepare during the week in practice for this kind of speed. It's a picture you can't duplicate.
There's the true freshman, Noel Devine, an amazing journey. His parents both passed away before the age of 13. He moved in with a family of a teammate, witnessed the shooting of a classmate at North Fort Myers High School. That's the alma mater of Deion Sanders, who heard about the story and took him in. He was about to adopt Noel Devine when he went back to Florida. And now here he is at West Virginia. That last touchdown run may have blown this game wide open. Tyvon Branch out to about the 19-yard line as we check in with Matt Weiner.
All right, Bob, a chaotic afternoon in Lexington. Double overtime. Kentucky intercepted Eric Ainge to set up this Lona Sieber field goal try to win it for the Wildcats. Blocked by Dan Williams. Disregard all the nonsense on the end of this return. The end result is they're headed to a 3rd overtime at Kentucky, Tennessee, or Georgia, depending on the outcome here. We'll go to the SEC title game. Florida, touchdowns on the ground and through the air from Tim Tebow, leads Florida State 14-3.
Well, what a game between Kentucky and Tennessee. And what a play there made by Johnny Dingle. And now UConn's offense very much on the ropes, trailing 38-14.
Yeah, I think UConn really mishandled that 3rd and 3 situation on their last possession. Taking a shot, throwing the ball, and then they punted the ball away. I think that last possession was very critical. Huskies keeping it alive. A run on 3rd down would have kept their prospects alive on the drive, and now they're facing a big deficit.
Lorenzen a throw on 2nd down and 13. Again, tucks it under. Out of bounds at the 24-yard line. About 5 yards shy of a 1st down. Another 3rd down coming up for UConn.
Connecticut doing a pretty nice job, even though West Virginia is starting to rack up the yards, 220 total yards on the ground. But Connecticut, I think, has been a surprise this evening, the way they've moved the ball on the ground. The problem with trailing 38-14 is you got to start getting away from the run game in your playbook. Tyler Lorenzen's going to have to put some balls through the air. They're going to have to take some chances. And I think Tyler Lorenzen is going to have to selectively use his legs.
Now it's Andre Dixon into Lorenzen's right. And West Virginia showing blitz on 3rd and 5. They rush 4. Lorenzen down the field looking for the big play. Just about had it. Just missed Larry Taylor. Another 4th down, and again for UConn, here comes the punting unit.
Well, I know you want to hit a big play, but on 3rd and 5, that is a low percentage type throw. As we've seen from the Mountaineer offense, you can't afford to punt the ball away to this team when they're clicking in the fashion that they have here throughout the ball game. You've got to take care of those 3rd and short opportunities and move the chains.
Flags thrown. And thrown from well downfield. Is there a chance that 12 men were on the field for West Virginia?
Okay. There's no foul for illegal substitution on the receiving team. There was only 11 players in formation. 4th down.
All right. Well, normally when you see the flag thrown from those 2 rear officials, they're the ones responsible for counting players. I figured maybe one of them counted 12. They both threw their flags, and they both picked them up.
They had a recount. Like in Florida a few years back.
They say we're not in Florida. High wobbly kick and a fair catch called for and made. Great field position again for West Virginia at their own 39-yard line. And let's check in with Janine Edwards.
Well, Bob, after Connecticut's October 27th win over South Florida, Connecticut Governor Jody Rell went on record publicly praising the team. Well, I decided to contact her this week and say, well, what do you think of this Husky team now? She said, well, who would think that Connecticut would be playing on Thanksgiving weekend for a Big East title? She says they have earned this program national recognition, and just to be in this position is nothing short of remarkable. She said after following them all this season, how can you not be a UConn fan? She said she and her husband will be watching today.
Well, they might be disappointed as things stand right now, Janine, as White blasts up the middle again. Throws down a tackler and steps out of bounds. He took Robert McClain and tossed him before he walked out after a gain of 18 yards. Boy, does he look like a potential Heisman Trophy candidate at least today?
I think he's got to be considered back in the mix. We saw Colt Brennan get back in the race last night. And if you think this is a finesse running game, take a look at Pat White finishing off that run with the stiff arm against McClain.
First down again in plus territory. Again, it's Devine. Noel Devine inside the 20, down to about the 18. 23 more yards for this Mountaineer ground attack.
Like all great offenses, when this offense gets in rhythm, for Patrick White, it's almost like a video game. You just dial it up. Everybody getting involved, everybody getting touches. Now, Rich Rodriguez offense, a great way to keep a lot of skill athletes happy with their touches.
Devine turns the corner, stays on his feet, gets down to about the 11. Well, how about you're a linebacker for UConn, and you're standing there surveying the backfield. White's about to take the snap. On his right is Noel Devine. On his left is Steve Slayton. Well, now what do you do?
Well, and as a defense, you can do all the things properly. You can get set up. You can be in the right spot for the tackle. You can get into your gap responsibilities. But the problem is Rich Rodriguez has athletes that make you wrong even when you're right, and they do that with incredible running ability.
White to put it in the air for the end zone. Intercepted. A turnover as Danny Lansana comes up with the interception and gets run out at the 8-yard line of UConn. With 4:11 to go in the third quarter, what little hopes that UConn had left, at least that gives them some reason to still believe.
A super play by Danny Lansana. This might be the best linebacking core in the country when it comes to breaking on the football. They are tremendous in their zone pass defense responsibilities, and Lansana, and this play kept Connecticut's hopes alive. I think if West Virginia scores on that drive, it's lights out.
Talking to Randy Edson, he said that Lansana does a great job in zone coverage, and that's his 5th pick this season. What a great total for a linebacker. Donald Brown for maybe a yard and a half.
This Husky offense not built for comebacks. They did come from behind against Louisville, down 10 in the fourth quarter. Tyler Lorenzen put together a couple nice drives at the end of that ball game to come up with a big win, but down 38-14 against West Virginia. This is uncharted territory for the Huskies.
A snap that Lorenzen wasn't expecting. It's loose in the end zone. Touchdown! Reed Williams recovers the ball in the end zone, and West Virginia scores again. They're going to review the last play, but this was a snap that seemed to take Tyler Lorenzen by surprise.
Well, and it might have been the velocity of the snap that took him by surprise. That wasn't a bad snap. Maybe came back a little bit quicker than Tyler Lorenzen was expecting. You can't afford to not handle the ball efficiently when your back is against your own goal line. Connecticut very interested with the result on this review. Not sure exactly what the review is going to be about.
Well, the ball carried into the end zone off of UConn players, so it wasn't a West Virginia player knocking the ball into the end zone. They're taking a look to see if potentially
Tyler Lorenzen never had possession of the football. I don't see the reason for the review. Possibly Reed Williams being down before he broke the plane, but I thought he was pretty cleanly in the end zone.
The ball was in the end zone.
After review, video confirms the call on the field. Touchdown, West Virginia.
That was the right call all along. So a defensive score, what basically amounts to a special team score for West Virginia because of a muff on a fumbled punt return. And as you could see, uncharacteristic mistakes for the UConn Huskies. It's the pressure of a championship game. (45-14), West Virginia on top. We'll step aside for 30 seconds and come right back to Morgantown. (21 points off turnovers for West Virginia, and Tyler Lorenzen may have hurt his hand on that last exchange.
They may be looking at the left thumb. Those are the kinds of plays as a quarterback that you're not real excited about, with the ball loose on the ground. Linebackers, defensive linemen converging on the football, and you got to stick your nose in there, get your arms and your hands extended, try to make the recovery. like they're taping that left hand up, and Tyler Lorenzen, a pretty tough customer. Be surprised if he didn't get right back in the football game.
Tyvon Branch from the 5. Gets out to about the 23 as we check in once again with Matt Weiner.
All right, Bob, it's another SportsCenter Minute powered by Vizio. Eric Ainge's 6th touchdown pass of the day tied up Kentucky. The Vols were unable to convert on the 2-pointers, so Tennessee and the Wildcats are headed to a 4th overtime. Earlier today, Virginia Tech got a couple of touchdowns from Tyrod Taylor to beat Virginia and win the Coastal Division. They'll get their rematch with Boston College in the ACC championship game next Saturday, 1 Eastern, ABC.
Matt here in what amounts to the Big East championship game. UConn is way behind now. West Virginia comfortably in front. 3.5 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter as Lorenzen throws a bullet to the sideline and hits Terrence Jeffers. And tonight you can catch the Big 12 game of the year. National title hopes very much on the line for number 4 Missouri and undefeated number 2 Kansas. Saturday Night Football presented by Southwest Airlines. Missouri and Kansas part of Rivalry Week presented by Remington tonight, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on ABC and ABC HD. And you can see right in the middle of the biggest turnarounds made from last year to this year, UConn in our game and Kansas later on tonight.
Kansas going from a 500 club to an undefeated season in the making. That is an unbelievable turnaround.
Imagine the atmosphere at that game tonight, Arrowhead Stadium, which doesn't quite split the difference between the 2 campuses. It's a little further away from Columbia, but you'd have to think there's going to be basically equal representation. So it's, for the most part, a neutral field, split it right down the middle, and the winner gets Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship game. And the winner of that game, very much in the national title picture.
Stakes make that border war a little nastier.
Lorenzen pumps, now gets the sideline, and has a 1st down. Steps out just shy of midfield.
I can't say enough about Tyler Lorenzen and the season he has had for the Connecticut Huskies. I mean, his ability to make great decisions, his toughness. This guy is a battler, a competitor. He gets that thumb taped up after the touchdown, the defensive touchdown, comes out, hits a nice ball on the sideline, tucks it for a 1st down. And one of the great stories in all of college football, 2007 edition.
Draw to Donald Brown. He's had a heck of an afternoon, but cut down after a gain of a yard. Ellis Lankster came up and made the stop.
This West Virginia defense at times struggled with the Connecticut running game. The Huskies had some success early, but when West Virginia extends and they get a lead, so many possibilities for Coach Castile in the way that he can bring pressure, 8, 9 defenders up on the line of scrimmage. Obvious passing situations. Those are the times when West Virginia's defense really thrives.
Lorenzen, a couple of pump fakes to buy some more time. Now down the sideline and throws it away. And let's head down to Janine.
Hey, Bob, I heard you guys talking about Tyler Lorenzen, and you know the West Virginia coaches have noticed his moves as well. As a matter of fact, defensive coordinator Jeff Castile was telling us that Lorenzen has that straight-ahead speed. He likes to power you and then use play action, which we're seeing here. He said our job is to control that and get around him and don't let him get in a rhythm. We need to keep him scampering, and that's exactly what they're doing.
He's certainly not been in a rhythm, Janine, no question. And 3rd down and 9. This is a pin your ears back defensive down for West Virginia. Here they come. Lorenzen hit as he throws, incomplete. And it's 4th down. Now near midfield on 4th down, David, are you now compelled to start thinking about going for it? It doesn't look like they will. Here comes the punting unit.
Well, there's 2 trains of thought here. Do you want the game really to get away from you, or do you want to pull out all the stops and try everything you can to potentially mount a miracle comeback? And I think Randy Edsall here does not want things to get out of control.
Desi Cohen has been busy. Rivers from the 12, immediately upended. He'll be marked down at the 15. Tyvon Branch came down and made the stop. Well, West Virginia fans will certainly remember Penn State and West Virginia back in October of 1988 as the play clock wound down. Major Harris forgot the play he called, basically took on the entire Penn State defense on his own and made one of the most memorable runs in school history. Deja vu between Major Harris and Patrick White.
Patrick White ripped off a pretty impressive touchdown run earlier in the third quarter.
Looked a lot like that, didn't it?
Don Nehlen's team played for a national title against Notre Dame in the Fiesta Bowl back in that '88 season. Lost to the Irish.
Devine with a flag down. Dodging tacklers, brought down at the 15. I guess that means there are 2 holding penalties against
multiple fouls.
There are 2 fouls by the offense on the play. Holding. Number 79 offense, penalties declined. Holding. Number 66 offense, that penalty is accepted. After distance to the goal line, still first down.
Well, we told you Major Harris made a great run. Let's take a look at Patrick White and see if it looks similar.
4-man rush for the Huskies. Looked like they had him contained. But you get out of your pass rush lanes. You abandon your responsibilities just for a fraction of a second. Patrick White quick enough and talented enough to take advantage, and he's done so multiple times throughout this game.
1st and 17. And again, White keeps it. And again, he makes men miss. Down the sideline. Hit hard out of bounds. Good for a first down, though. A gain of 19 yards for Patrick White.
I'll tell you what, that is one of the more exciting 16-yard runs I've seen this season. And look at how tough he is for a defense to draw a bead. Tacklers just seem to slip off of him. He's a guy that is very wispy in his build, but surprisingly physical when he faces tacklers in the open field.
This time it's Devine. Let's take a look at Pat Wright and how he stacks up with other quarterbacks that have gone over 3,000 yards. Now, if he decides to stay for his senior season, he could end up all the way up there at the top of the list. He could go past Brad Smith in terms of quarterbacks rushing yards. But outside of Vince Young, some of the other guys I think are interesting on this list, David, Brian Mitchell and Joshua Cribbs right now with the Cleveland Browns, Brad Smith with the Jets, Randall L., of course. If you're wondering how Patrick White projects in the NFL, these guys were all college quarterbacks that, when they went to the NFL, became more return specialists, wide receivers, such elusive runners. They certainly very marketable NFL players. And boy, if you're an NFL scout, you watch these open field moves and the speed of White, you have to envision him, I would think, in a very similar role.
Well, I can't imagine him not continuing to play football with all his gifts, especially his ability out in the open field. I mean, you look at this offense. Slayton and Raynaud, Noel Devine. Patrick White is in the center of all the action, makes all the decisions. And he's just done such a terrific job. The ball has been in his hands a lot more this season as opposed to a year ago. And if I'm a GM at the NFL level, I would love to have a Patrick White on my roster.
Devine breaks free. It's a first down again for West Virginia. And ABC tomorrow, an extraordinary 2-hour event. Extreme Makeover Home Edition helps its 100th family. And some of your favorite past families are coming back to lend a hand. An all-new 2-hour Extreme Makeover Home Edition tomorrow at 7, 6 Central on ABC. That's a great show. That's a show that, in spite of the fact that you look at me and don't see a very sensitive person,
don't see a lot of emotion.
There is a tear in your eye. If you don't have a couple tears in your eye when they move that bus,
I want to see you work on getting in touch with your more sensitive side.
White stays on his feet down the sideline. How does he do it? Tripped up inside the 20. Robert McLean saved the touchdown. He just can't catch him.
Defenses have different ways of playing this offense, and not many of them are successful. But very evident tonight that Connecticut wanted Patrick White to keep the ball in his hands. Patrick White has not given the ball to tailbacks quite as much as he normally does. Patrick White showing that he's more than willing to shoulder the load. Look at the numbers.
A 9th carry by West Virginia to go over 20 yards. 36 more for Patrick White. This time turning the corner is Slayton. And that just about takes us to the end of the quarter.
Show you how we
45-14, West Virginia has the lead.
I know you like my style.
And we're not quite at the end of the third quarter, believe it or not. There's 0.8 seconds to go on the clock. They've got the basketball clock inside the stadium here at Mountaineer Field as they give us tenths of a second.
You know you could have 0.8 seconds left in any quarter.
Second down and 2. Just one more chance for this West Virginia offense. It's Devine spinning his way inside the 5, and that takes us to the end of the third quarter. First and goal, West Virginia, when we come back to start the fourth. This presentation of college football, presented by Best Buy, will continue after these messages and a word from our ABC stations. Third-ranked West Virginia with 2 wins to end the season, all but securing a spot in the BCS title game. And boy, are they on their way to a Big East championship against UConn with a 21-point third quarter. And look at the numbers. 265 yards of total offense in the third quarter, and David Norrie for the game. West Virginia now has 359 yards rushing. And Pat White, I'm not sure if he's out of breath. Just a moment ago, Pat White all of a sudden takes his helmet off, and
it almost looks like he got a little dizzy there.
He's got a problem with his hair.
Yeah, shaking his head a bit. Might just be tired. He just might be run down a bit from ripping off long runs.
And West Virginia, I believe, just called a timeout to give Pat White just an extra moment or two to get a blow on the sideline.
Sometimes we forget about just how well conditioned these athletes are. I mean, all the running that Patrick White has to perform on a play-by-play basis, that could take a toll. Especially when you look at the explosion by this West Virginia offense. Third quarter.
Well, West Virginia has now scored 40 points at home in 12 of their last 15 games here at Mountaineer Field. And right now they're looking for 50. Slate breaks a tackle into the end zone for a West Virginia touchdown. Halfway to a century mark for the Mountaineers. To 14.
You have got to be impressed with the way this group has played up front. And so much credit goes to Patrick White, the tailbacks, Steve Slayton, punches it across the goal line, as well as Noel Devine, Patrick Reynaud, but a great game by the offensive front. They have truly worn down the Huskies up front here in the second half.
Well, here's our Pacific Life game summary. And David, look at the rushing yards, to your point.
Connecticut had outgained West Virginia in the first half. But that was some kind of third quarter that the West Virginia Mountaineers laid on the Huskies. 359 yards on the ground.
Well, what those numbers show you is that in order to be in this game with a chance to win it, UConn needed to play flawless football. And it's basically the football that they've played all year, in the top couple in the country in turnover ratio. They're a running football team. They don't score a ton of points. They don't gain a ton of yards. And you know West Virginia can move the ball on the ground and through the air, and they have certainly done so. And not only has West Virginia done offensively what we expected, but UConn has made the mistakes that they just couldn't make. Taylor breaks a tackle and gets out to about the 37-yard line as we check in with Matt Weiner.
All right, Bob, it's over in Lexington, and here's our nominee for the Pontiac game-changing performance. Fourth overtime, Andre Woodson and the Wildcats needing a two-point conversion to send it to a fifth, but J.T. Mapu takes him down and ends it for Tennessee. The Vols win the SEC East. Check out this season's best Pontiac game-changing performances at ESPN.com. Search Pontiac.
So it's Tennessee and LSU in the SEC championship game. Lorenzen sacked, no, spins out of it and throws it away. Did he get it back to the line of scrimmage? It looks like he did. Mark Magro had him dead to rights back at the 30-yard line.
Tyler Lorenzen has brought some strength to the quarterback position for Connecticut. Time and time again this year, he has gotten his offense out of trouble by scrambling, buying time, breaking tackles. His competitiveness. We talked to Coach Randy Edsall. It's really one of the big stories for this team throughout the season.
Lorenzen wants the screen. That's Donald Brown. And Brown has a UConn first down. This drive, David, is the best field position to start a drive that UConn has had today.
Connecticut had their opportunities in the first half. Jasper Howard fumbled punt. The fumbled snap recovered by West Virginia in the end zone. You can't afford to have one of those plays, let alone two. But just too many big plays by West Virginia. You got White, Slayton, Devine, Renaud, all busting off big plays. Too much to handle for the Huskies.
Lorenzen sacked. Back at the 42-yard line. Mark Magro that time didn't let Lorenzen get away. Magro's 8th sack this season. He had 2 sacks in a big road win for West Virginia last Saturday night in Cincinnati.
Magro's one of the tough, hard-working individuals on the defense. Jeff Castile calls him the hardest working man in football. How about the sack numbers for the Mountaineers?
Lorenzen goes down again. This time it's Zach Cooper. The 36th sack this season by the Mountaineer defense, and all the mistakes made by UConn.
You mentioned, Bob, the Huskies really had to have an error-free game to have a chance to come in to Morgantown and win. The fumbles on the punt and the snap, just icing on the cake. Connecticut Huskies, they had their chances. I thought Tyler Lorenzen in the first half missed a couple balls in the passing game that could have made this game closer moving into the second half.
UConn needs to get to Stores for a first down. Lorenzen unloads. Oh, it just about got there. Eric Wicks came over and broke it up. And Brad Cunyu is shaken up.
That ball seemed to hang up a bit. Tyler Lorenzen has surprising arm strength. Eric Wicks delivered a blow on Konyu.
You know, David, the shame of this performance today for UConn is that this is a game that probably, at least on television, is something that is going to by far draw UConn's biggest national exposure and best audience of the year. And this should not put much of a damper on the year that they have had, because Randy Edsall's team has been magnificent. As Vaughn Rivers, it's all the way out across the 40 to about the 42-yard line. Rich Rodriguez's team is about to win a Big East title. Randy Edsall's team has a lot to be proud of this year as well. Pat White still looks a little bit shaken up on the West Virginia sideline, and why fool around if you're the Mountaineers? They make a quarterback change. Patrick White with a nearly 200-yard day alone on the ground. He is on the sideline, and Jared Brown, a sophomore from West Palm Beach, who's a very capable player as well, comes on and hands it to another capable young player. Into the open, Jock Sanders, all the way down to the 3-yard line. How many weapons does this West Virginia offense have?
Tackle by one, Darius Butler. We're talking to Calvin McGee, the offensive coordinator for West Virginia. So many talented tailbacks on this roster. Not enough room with the Steve Slayton in the lineup. Guys like Jock Sanders ripping off a big run, having to play at the slot position. And it wouldn't be far-fetched to think about Sanders moving back to the tailback position in the upcoming years for West Virginia.
Sanders very close to a touchdown, brought down at about the 1-foot line. And that last carry by Sanders puts West Virginia as a team today close to 420 yards rushing. Look at the numbers for Patrick White through basically 3 quarters. And he's done for the afternoon.
That was all that was needed. He opened up hot, 8 for 11 in the first half, and really his completions to Raynaud on the first 2 drives created some space for this offense on the ground.
Sanders finishes the drive. And it was a 3-play drive, all him. Another West Virginia touchdown. It's that kind of day if you're a UConn fan. .420 yards rushing on 41 carries today, collectively, for West Virginia. Over 10 yards per carry. And a dominant performance.
This presentation of college football brought to you by Best Buy. This holiday will help you put together perfect gifts. Clean Exchange, a disposable head electric shaver, new from Remington. Allstate, proud sponsors of college football. Are you in good hands? And Pontiac, the official performance machines of the NCAA.
Boy, the Mountaineer, he's worn out. Look at him, he's tired. He's hyperventilating. He's had so much celebrating to do this afternoon. 59 points worth for West Virginia. And they are a win next week over Pitt away from playing for a national championship. They will squib it downfield as Branch picks it up at the 20. Let's take a look now at our Best Buy playbook.
Well, this group doesn't get enough credit, but they have been splendid throughout the game up front. West Virginia offensive line. Let's take a look at Mike Dent, the center here, and then the left tackle, Ryan Stanchek. Watch the blocks they make, sealing off their defenders. And then let's go at Freezer right here. Here's the big left guard, Greg Isdaner, working downfield. There's a reason why all the ball carriers for West Virginia have been working in space throughout the evening.
DJ Hernandez catches a little hitch from Dennis Brown. Brown, a sophomore from Miami that is now in at quarterback, replacing Tyler Lorenzen. Brown redshirted last year. He actually started a couple of games back in 2005, but they used the red shirt on him last year. And that last pass caught by last year's quarterback, DJ Hernandez. They got a lot of quarterbacks in the game for UConn, but a disappointing day, obviously a nightmarish day really for Tyler Lorenzen as Brown misses Steve Brous.
If you were Randy Edsall, you didn't want to see your number 2 quarterback in the game tonight. That would have been an indication that the Huskies were not on time. Tyler Lorenzen, as he's done throughout the season, Bob, fighting, competing throughout. He played well in the first half, but I thought he had to play flawless and take advantage of all his opportunities. He missed a couple easy balls down the field. And it's only a couple mistakes giving the ball back to that West Virginia offense. They can create separation on the scoreboard.
A drop may not have been a first down nonetheless, but Marcus Easley drops the pass from Dennis Brown. Again, time permitting, we'd like to remind you after the game, stay tuned for the Dell post-game report. That comes up time permitting after here we are done here in Morgantown.
It's going to be an interesting postseason report for Connecticut. A lot of possibilities in terms of bowl games. Well, the big prize was a BCS berth. It's not going to be.
The punt by Cullen comes down to the 40-yard line. Jock Sanders gets to midfield with a flag down.
During the return, holding, number 1, receiving team. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the flag. First down, West Virginia. Intelligent timeout.
We appreciate the notification. I guess we'll step aside. Well, somebody's already ready for Mardi Gras. He's got his gear on for New Orleans, which might be where this team is headed. Another Big East championship, the 5th for West Virginia, is certainly in the on-deck circle. 59-14. They have the lead. No gain on first down as we head down to Janine.
Hey, Bob, when we walked into Coach Rich Rodriguez's office yesterday, he was wearing this T-shirt, and our producer, Bob Fox, said, "What does that mean?" He said, "Well, I'll tell you. It was to impart a team spirit, an atmosphere of trust." He said, "If you were dangling over a cliff, would you trust your teammates to hold that rope? And could you, in return, be relied upon to hold it for them?" He said, "It's all about team spirit, and it's all about trust." And I guess we could say we've seen a good example of that today.
Absolutely. Well, Janine, I think team unity for our crew is special, like David Norrie allowing you to borrow his scarf.
I'm not sure I could trust
team unity.
I'm not sure I could trust you to hold the rope, Bob.
Ed Collington brought down for a gain. Loss of a couple of yards, but I mean, that's nice that David let you borrow his scarf.
Do you guys like this scarf, David? This is not your color, but thank you for letting me use it. Actually, guys, my mother made me this scarf, so how do you like that?
See? Very nice.
Credit where credit is due.
3rd down and 15 for West Virginia, as most of their starters, at least at the skill positions, are on the sideline. And talk about a scary group of skill position players, David. Steve Slayton, who has already put in his papers to the NFL College Advisory Committee that kind of marks out what your draft status might be without signing with an agent. If he decides to come back, he's a junior. And most of the other skill position players for West Virginia are the same as Jarrett Brown, the backup quarterback, does a Patrick White impersonation. Another huge play on the ground for West Virginia, all the way down to the 15-yard line. A 51-yard gain for Jarrett Brown.
Well, how about the job Rich Rodriguez and Calvin McGee have done with this offense? And I'm not talking about the starters. I'm talking about 2, 3 deep. You get a look up here in the box. Coach McGee's going to be over on the left side there. I think he's hidden, but And he's done such a tremendous job keeping all the players involved, keeping everybody happy with their touches. Jarrett Brown, the quarterback to look forward to in the future of this program.
Collington has waffled at about the 15-yard line. Look at the numbers today for West Virginia rushing the football. Wow. 10.6 yards per carry, 10.1 yards per offensive play.
That is operating at a high level of efficiency. And that's why, you know, when I say Rich Rodriguez and Calvin McGee have done a great job, I mean, this is an offense that is their own. It's a Rodriguez creation, the spread option. And at times it's unstoppable.
Brown pushed out inside the 15. It'll be 3rd down once again. And every time West Virginia has been put in this situation today, David, where, you know, coming to the line, you might say 3rd and 15, 3rd and 12, 3rd and 9. It hasn't mattered. They have almost been more effective spreading the field and running on 3rd and long.
Well, and that's the theory behind Rich Rodriguez's offense, is to get his individuals out in space, one-on-one with defenders. He does it with the zone read play as the base principle. And there's so many things that they can do off of that zone read, including throwing the football, optioning, passing the ball downfield.
Brown on 3rd and 8. Turns the corner. Stays in bounds. No, I think he stepped out at about the 5. But I think he has a 1st down. Stepped out just inside the 5, and he needed to get to the 5 for a 1st down.
Jarrett Brown has proven that he can step up when he's in the spotlight. Remember a year ago when the finale there, he steps out just at the 5-yard line. The final regular season game against Rutgers a year ago. Rutgers came in much like Connecticut did tonight. A Cinderella story, looking for a BCS berth. Jarrett Brown got the start. And he was able to lead the Mountaineers to victory, Bob, in an overtime game against Rutgers, and ended Rutgers' hopes. And it was a super performance by Brown at quarterback, especially when he got the call late in the week.
Collington gets to the goal line. He's in. Another rushing touchdown for West Virginia. 65 points on the board for the Mountaineers. That's a season high. It has not been pleasant for UConn to play the Mountaineers.
Not a lot of success for the Huskies. They've lined up against the Mountaineers. It's been an exercise in futility. Before the LSU loss yesterday, Bob, you really figured that West Virginia might need some style points against Connecticut and against Pittsburgh next week. I don't think they're necessary with the LSU loss, but West Virginia still winning this game in impressive fashion.
And they have gone upstairs to the replay booth to determine whether or not Collington was down. His knee hit at about the 2-yard line, and the ball, it doesn't look as if had stretched out to break the plane yet, so they may put this ball on the half-yard line.
No, I think this touchdown is going to be reversed. Collington not able to extend the football prior to that left knee going to the turf. I think that football could be spotted out at the 1. This has been a great addition to college football, the review. You know, they're not always correct when these reviews go back up to the booth, but I think it's really improved the quality of college football. Taking some of the human element out of it.
Let's take a look one more time. Maybe we can freeze it when his knee touches, and you'll see where the ball is. Knee is down, and you're right, the ball back to the 1.
After review, video reverses the call on the field. The runner's knee was down prior to the ball crossing the goal line plane. The ball will be spotted at the 1-yard line. It is now 2nd down. The game clock operator, 8:01 on the clock.
And for the fans here in Morgantown, not only are they booing, what turns out to be the right decision. What they're booing with their team up 59-14. Do we need to be that upset that that call was reversed? Collington gets another try. This time, no doubt about it. He's in for another West Virginia touchdown. Chris Glenn this time with the extra point. And it's 66-14. West Virginia on top. An exclamation point by the Mountaineers today. A 27-point fourth quarter on the heels of a 21-point third quarter for West Virginia. And they lead 66-14. How about the Sugar Bowl last year? West Virginia and Georgia. Steve Slayton led the Mountaineers. He had 204 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. He was dominant in that game. Of course, Patrick White in that game, well, he was Patrick White. He added 77 yards on the ground, 120 through the air, but a fake punt by West Virginia's Phil Brady sealed the win for the Mountaineers. An unbelievable call by Rich Rodriguez. And that was back in 2006, a 38-35 win over Georgia a couple of years ago. And, well, the next trip to New Orleans for these West Virginia Mountaineers might come about a month and a half from now. And David Norrie, they could be playing for the national championship, as they are now 7 minutes and 47 seconds away from winning the Big East championship. Next week, they finish up with Pitt. Branch out to the 23.
In a lot of ways, that Sugar Bowl win 2 years ago was a turning point for the Rich Rodriguez program. There's a shot at Calvin McGee. We couldn't get him in that last shot, but there he is. You gotta like that when you're a coach up in the box, you're putting the jacket on, you're ready to come down a bit early. Sitting next to Rod Smith, who's done a terrific job as the quarterback's coach. His entire staff has done some great work this year. Turnaround on defense, a top 5 defense now. I think they deserve a shot at the national title.
Andre Dixon about 3 or 4 yards. Although they're a one-loss team, just like plenty of other teams that might finish the season with 1 loss that don't get a chance to play for the national championship. And that's the way it works in college football. If you lose your 1 game early, you have a chance to then rebound and climb back up, as opposed to some teams that lose their 1 game late, say at Kansas. If Kansas loses tonight to Missouri, now Missouri should get the shot certainly because they're a 1-loss team, but you know, Kansas loses that game late in the season, it totally takes them out of it, as opposed to a loss early in the season where you can come back from it. That's the way it works, though, as Dixon gets to the outside. And it begs the question, especially in a year like this, where West Virginia's put together an amazing season. They start 4-0. Now they lose back in September to South Florida, but that gives them the chance, David, to rebound by winning their next 5 to improve to 9-1. They're about to go to 10-1 with the win today, led, of course, by Patrick White. Lose early and you still have a chance.
Well, and I don't like it. I don't like that aspect of college football. Not to take anything away from West Virginia, but how can you determine West Virginia is better than Ohio State or Ohio State's better than West Virginia? And I do think it's by virtue of the fact that Ohio State lost later on in the season. And that is something that's going to have to change down the line. I mean, every other sport, professional and college, has a playoff system. And I think you got to get to an 18 playoff. I think you integrate the playoff into the bowl games. You get 6 major conference automatic berths, a couple at-large berths, and you play it off. I mean, how exciting would it be this year? Hawaii, Kansas or Missouri, or West Virginia in there, Ohio State, maybe a USC or an Oregon. I mean, that's what the fans truly want to see. And I really think it can be done. You know, 18 playoff. I don't think they'll go to an 18 playoff first. I think we'll see a +1, and then you'll see a 4 versus 1, 2 versus 3 with a 4-team type playoff. But ultimately, the most exciting thing for the fans, I think, would be to go to an 18 playoff.
I agree 100%. I think an 18 playoff is the exact right number, too. It doesn't add too many games. I mean, right now, what's being talked about mostly in college football is that +1 system. Well, a +1 system is basically a 4-team playoff. It might not come down to 2 bowl games where it's 1 versus 4 and 2 versus 3 and play an extra game. But an 18 playoff, of course, you're still going to have arguments about the 9th and 10th teams not ending up in that top 8. But once you get up to the top 8, you're going to crown a true national champion.
I don't think you worry about 9 or 10 arguing. If you have a problem and you're 9 or 10, be 4th or 5th the next year and you take care of that problem.
It's the same argument when the NCAA tournament comes out with their bracket, and we watch Digger Phelps and Dick Vitale sit on the set and argue about the teams that get left out. But you got 64 teams in the tournament. The minute the brackets come out, you argue for a moment about those teams, then that's gone. And you concentrate on what is always thought to be a true national champion.
People never remember who the 65, 66, 67th place teams are trying to get into the basketball tournament. And, you know, you look back to a team like an Auburn 4 years ago that runs off a perfect record in the SEC. They win their bowl game, and then you tell the kids, hey, you're not good enough to be in a national title game. I don't think that should ever happen. You know, and
you brought up Hawaii. Yeah, well, what's a better example than that?
But when you talk about the major conference teams, that's really a disservice. And I don't mean to take anything away from Gene Jones either. Urban Meyer had a perfect season with Utah a couple of years back. But for a team in a major conference to not have a shot to play in a national title game when they're undefeated, I think that is something that needs to be changed. And also with an 18 playoff, Bob, you work in the Hawaiis, the Boise States, the Utahs, the teams that have had big seasons over the last 4 or 5 years outside of the Big 6 conferences.
It's amazing to me, too, that some of the bowls would resist that type of a system, if only because, let's say, for the sake of argument, this year, instead of the Rose Bowl potentially being an exhibition game, it's a great game. I mean, if it ends up being maybe USC and Ohio State, it's a great matchup. But could you imagine the attention that that game would get if the winner advanced? It'd be one of the biggest things in American sports. And let's take a look back to the last time West Virginia had chances to do what they might have a chance to do this year. Notre Dame dominated the '89 Fiesta Bowl. The undefeated Mountaineers from the start were behind. Anthony Johnson scored the first touchdown, and Notre Dame won 34-21. And then looking for a win and a share of the national title in the Sugar Bowl against Florida. Terry Dean, Willie Jackson combining from 39 yards out. Another nail in the coffin in Florida. Won that one 41-7. West Virginia would finish that year 11-1, their only loss. And this season, they might have a chance to get right back to that national championship game. Downfield, Dennis Brown, inside the 5-yard line, connects with Brad Canu.
Well, just to finish the discussion, as Canu makes a nice grab down the field, just to finish that discussion, so many people say that a playoff system would diminish the importance of games during the regular season. I think it's the opposite. You'd have, about 20 teams late in October and into November fighting to get into those 8 spots. I think, if anything, the BCS system has diminished the importance of the other 3 and now 4 major bowl games that aren't part of that national title game.
Dixon brought down a yard shy of the end zone.
I mean, when we were younger, we used to get up on New Year's Day and be excited to watch all 4 major bowl games. It was the biggest day of football in our country, outside of the Super Bowl for the NFL fans out there. But now you have a national title game, and I think it takes some of the importance away from the other games. The other great major bowl games that are played on January 1st and now a week later.
That's a great point. Dixon is the I-back, 2nd down and goal. And Dixon gets the call. And he is stacked up shy with 2:45 to go. in the fourth quarter.
At least under the old system, you had 2 or maybe 3 of those major 4 bowl games playing into the national title potentially, depending on which poll, the AP or the UPI at the time.
Well, to be fair, what you would lose is the game tonight. Missouri and Kansas wouldn't mean as much potentially. It wouldn't be that winner-take-all moving towards the national championship type regular season game, but it would also make 4 or 5 of the other games that were played today that much more important. You know, you might lose the Clash of the Titans, but all of a sudden you create a lot more important regular season games as Dixon is again stopped short.
Well, you know me, I don't like to disagree with you often, but I think that game would be just as big if a spot in an 18 playoff were up for grabs. I mean, let's face it, the fans out there would love to see it. The fans just don't
tonight's
know.
An elimination game, though.
Absolutely.
Whatever team loses tonight has no chance. If Kansas lost tonight, I still think they'd make an 18 playoff.
With their schedule strength, I think that would be pretty sketchy.
4th and goal, and UConn, for respect, going for it. Play action. Brown flips into the end zone, and good for the Huskies. A touchdown to Anthony Davis. Two-yard touchdown reception for Anthony Davis. Dennis Brown gets the Huskies into the end zone. And a disappointing afternoon for Tyler Lorenzen, as you could see the left hand taped. His throwing hand took a shot earlier in the game. Aravino's extra point is good. And it's 66-21. Well, we talked about the big game tonight. Brent Musburger will be there, and he gives us a look.
A Midwest border war, but never with this much in the balance. Surprise unbeaten Kansas takes on Missouri for a spot in the Big 12 championship game and a step towards reaching the BCS title. Number 2, number 4 on neutral turf in Kansas City. 8 Eastern on Saturday Night Football.
A little over an hour from now, Brent Musburger, Kirk Herbstreit will have the call at Arrowhead. And that is the big certainly will most likely, barring a big week
in the Big 6 conferences. Colorado won the Big 12 North 2 years ago with a 4-4 record in conference. What a turnaround.
Eddie Davis on the return.
Eddie Davis brings it out to about the 30-yard line. And Pat White and Steve Slayton, they are roommates. They are very good friends, and now they're teammates as the Gatorade dump is going to take place at some point here on Rich Rodriguez. And I'll tell you, if there's a day to not get wet, it's today. It is cold.
They're being pretty sneaky. This is a stealth attack.
Rich Rodriguez lucky enough to blend in with all the other assistants wearing the same color warm-up.
I don't think they're in range yet.
McNarrett is now in at quarterback. Another big play. And the dump. Rich Rodriguez, you can see his right arm wet. He basically dodged the bullet.
That was a partial hit.
He was hit by some shrapnel.
I think he's in good peripheral vision there. He saw it coming.
I don't blame him for wanting to get out of the way of that today. With 1:05 to go. Collington again. Collington down the sideline. And not for nothing, but at this point, if you are West Virginia, do we need this?
Well,
could you maybe get into the safety spot and take a knee? I have a hard time believing Randy Edsall's going to use his timeouts.
A nice gesture here getting Adam Bednarik in the game. Of course, Bednarik went down in that Louisville game back in 2005 when we first saw the emergence of Pat White and Steve Slayton. Bednarik sticking with the program, put together a nice scoring drive against Syracuse late. Great story of quarterback sticking with the program and still being a leader for this outfit in many ways.
Arlington for 12 more yards. That's 516 rushing yards today for West Virginia.
Magical season for Connecticut comes to an end, but they have a bowl game to look forward to. And for West Virginia, Bob, this team looks like they could end the season with a national title. Bigger things in mind down the line.
Well, right now they can celebrate their 5th Big East title. The West Virginia Mountaineers are the champions of the Big East. Rich Rodriguez, the head coach for 4 of those 5 titles. Our players of the game, Chevrolet players of the game. Donald Brown for UConn.
He brings his A game. He's a tremendous leader as well.
Now, what do you say to this team to prepare them for a possible national championship?
The same thing I tell them every week. The more you win, the more is at stake. And there's an awful lot at stake in the next ball game.
You got that right. Congratulations, Coach.
Well, Janine, UConn had a great season, but they were dominated by West Virginia in the Big East title game. Again, the final. West Virginia wins it 66-21. For David Norrie, Janine Edwards, and our entire crew here in Morgantown, I'm Bob Wischusen. Thanks so much for watching ESPN on ABC. We say good night from West Virginia.